Welcome, ladies, to our next Fearless World Summit online. These days are powerful days, all about women sharing their fearless stories and message to be able to empower women to live fearlessly right around the world. And whatever that looks like for you, because we are all on our own fearless path. And so today there's going to be some incredible women sharing their fearless stories. And I know that they will inspire you. And feel free to use the chat today. Like I said, that if you have any questions at all for the speakers, they're going to keep an eye on the chat to be able to answer your questions today and to be able to network and connect with incredible women right around the world. My name is Charlotte Brown. I'm the founder of One Woman, and I love to empower women right around the world. And my journey began 10 years ago when I started empowering women in developing countries. And what I learned was that, every woman has big goals and dreams for their life, and that every woman has a fearless story, and that their story and that their life matters, and how we can help each other to realize our big goals and dreams, to uplift each other, to support and encourage each other on this fearless path that we're all living. And I've learned that a big way to be able to do that is to be able to empower women through entrepreneurship, to be able to help them through skills training, to help through education. And that became my mission 10 years ago as I worked with women in developing countries, is to create things that would help women create financial independence in their life, because that is a big part of what I have found is that has helped women live fearlessly and to live the life of their dreams. So One Woman helps women start businesses right around the world. And we also help women in developing countries gain skills. And we also help girls have access to education at all levels. So from girls going to primary and elementary school to secondary school and even post-secondary education, because what I know for sure is that there's millions of girls today that will never see the inside of a classroom. And, it's my goal and mission to try to empower as many women and girls to live their dreams, whether that's through education or entrepreneurship or creating and living whatever life that they would like to create for themselves. And that's how One Woman began. And so that's a little bit about my own fearless story of creating this and really having a drive to empower women and girls globally. And the way that we've done that to be able to raise funds to do that is our Fearless Women Summits. These have been happening since 2017, when I did our first cross Canada tour right across Canada, 15 cities. But the crazy thing about that is that women started applying to speak from all over the world, even though I was only advertising in those cities. So women were coming from Australia and New Zealand and throughout Europe and all over the United States and the Caribbean to all these Canadian cities to share their fearless stories and message. And I just watched magic happen as we brought women together for the greater good of all women in the world, sharing fearless stories, creating a safe space for women to explore what living fearlessly looks like for them. And those events sold out right across Canada, with the largest Fearless Summit happening in Halifax, Nova Scotia, with almost 800 women attending. Now, the amazing part is that there was nobody necessarily famous per se that was on that stage. It was all women like you and me that had a powerful and fearless story to share. And what I learned is that every woman has a fearless story. And there's so much power in that story. And that story has the ability to change the world. So many women that have stepped on that stage and shared their fearless story, that story is so connected to what they do now, that they have very heart-centered businesses. And that's what you'll learn from a lot of the speakers that you hear from today, is that it's not just their fearless story, but now they're reaching behind and now lifting the next person up or the next woman up to help them also live fearlessly and navigate their own fearless path. And what their passion and purpose is to make a difference in the world. And yeah, that certainly has been what has inspired me the last 10 years to create One Woman, which is now a network of about 500,000 women globally. So I want to welcome everyone here. Get settled in, grab your coffee, your tea, your snacks. We have a lot of speakers that you're going to be able to hear from and to listen to their fearless stories. What I also thought I would do today is share a little bit more about One Woman and our membership and why women get involved with One Woman and the things that you can participate in and be a part of if that's something that you would like to do, because there's so many things that we do to empower women globally in various parts of the world. As I mentioned, we do a lot of work to help women in developing countries and, helping them start businesses and gaining employment skills and helping girls have access to education. But we do a lot of work as well to empower women in developed countries to build and grow successful businesses. Because what I know for sure is that women have a passion and purpose to make a difference in the world. And our goal is to always help make that path a little easier for women to be able to do that because we are so much stronger together. So without further ado, I would like to start sharing these amazing and fearless stories today with our first speaker of the day. So if Roz wants to turn on her camera, on her sound, start sharing her screen, I will introduce her. So Roz, the diva, is a world-renowned pole dancer, fitness instructor, and speaker. Whether public speaking, working with individual clients, or running her mouth on social media, she makes sure everyone with a pulse feels like an athlete, even you. Her goal in life is to make pancakes for Beyonce. Please welcome our first amazing speaker for today, Roz Mays.
Hello, everybody. First and foremost, thank you, Charla, for having me and inviting me to be on the stage. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm also way more excited than I am nervous about this. My voice has been so excited that it decided to leap out of my throat. So I might sound a little bit hoarse, but I've got my trusty cup of tea right here and I'm feeling good this morning. So, I want to speak to you today about gym intimidation and how to squash it. So, first and foremost, this is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about diversifying your social media, diversifying your goals, diversifying your activities, and expecting some failure, and also being the representation that you are seeking. So before we go further, I want everyone to understand that right here, right now, you are an athlete. Maybe you're not an Olympic athlete. Maybe you've still got 20 pounds to lose because that's one of your goals. Maybe you've got maybe you're not the fastest runner of your group, or you don't run at all, or maybe you own one pair of sneakers total and you only use those to run to the grocery store. That does not matter to me. Those things don't make you an athlete. What makes you an athlete is that you have air in your lungs. Period. Full stop. If you have air in your lungs, then you are an athlete and you are worthy of all the benefits of an active lifestyle. So, hi, I'm Roz. I want to pause for a second and tell you a little bit about myself. So, as you can see on the picture on the left, I'm a pole dancer, and I have been doing pole dancing for nearly 17 years now. So, it's been a long time. And when I'm not pole dancing, I am lifting weights. That's my other hobby that I love to do. I love to lift heavy things. And both of these activities, I do them full time here in Brooklyn, New York. And they make me so happy because they make me feel strong. They make me feel competent, and I'm able to express myself in ways that I never dreamed imaginable. Now, both of these activities, especially the pole dancing part, not everybody loves them the same way that I do. In fact, I have been fired from different jobs because of my pole dancing. And because not everybody saw the empowerment and the fabulosity, if that is a word that I'm just making up right now, about pole dancing, but that did not matter to me. I loved it. It was a part of me. It will always be a part of me, and I'm very proud of it. And it's really was my introduction to going to the not just going to the gym and being an athlete, but also it was my introduction into fitness as a full-time career. So not only do I teach pole dancing, but I also teach strength training, as you can see here. And I'm also, I do personal training as well as work in groups. So that's a little bit about me. So this was me. This is one of my favorite pole pictures. I took this, or I didn't take this, excuse me. I posed for this picture when I was on America's Got Talent. This was, I believe, about 10 years ago, which seems bananas at this point that it was so long ago. But I will never forget this moment and this this audition because I was in front of the judges. And at that time, Howard Stern was one of the judges. And if any of you are familiar with Howard Stern, you know how lovely he is of a person. And that's putting it nicely. And he told me to my face in front of a few hundred people that nobody would ever hire me to do fitness as a full-time career because I was too fat. And because of my size, I was never going to have a career. I was never going to go anywhere in fitness. And turns out he was very wrong. And thank goodness that he was wrong because I've since then been able to have a great career in fitness, even through all of the ups and downs. It has not been the most perfect career, but it is mine and I love it. So, okay, I've skipped forward a little bit. Let's talk about gym intimidation and what this is. So, this is my definition of gym intimidation. It's something that makes you feel intimidated to start or continue a physically active lifestyle. So gym intimidation can come from a number of places. It can be external, like other people and society and social pressure, making you feel like if you're not the perfect athlete, then you don't count and that you're not making any contributions to the athletic community. So it can come from other people or other concepts, but a lot of it also can come from inside you, that internalized gym phobia, again, of not feeling like, well, if I'm not a real athlete because of X, Y, and Z. I'm too old to be a real athlete, or I only casually run or casually pole dance. None of that, all of that is hogwash. Gym intimidation will have you feeling like you are less than other people and that you don't deserve awesomeness and that you don't deserve an active lifestyle, but everybody deserves the benefits of an active lifestyle. Okay, so step one in beating gym intimidation is to make sure that you are diversifying your social media feeds. So you want to make sure that you're not simply following if the only thing you're exposing yourself to are people with so-called perfect bodies and people who are breaking Olympic records, those there's nothing wrong with either one of those things, but it's important to recognize that you have so much to offer. And there's so many different ways to be an athlete. And we want to make sure that you're exposing yourself to all the different ways to be an athlete. And one of those ways to do that is to diversify your social media feed. And examples of hashtags that you can use. So when I give this talk, I'm typically speaking to plus size athletes and plus size men and women and other people. And so here's just some quick examples of what you can search for that are going to show you different ways of being an athlete. There's plus size athlete or athletes. There's hashtag fat athlete. And then you can even take a descriptor such as plus size and put your favorite sport afterwards. Now, hopefully your new favorite sport is going to be pole dancing, clearly. But if it's not, we can still be friends. Step two to beating gym intimidation is to diversify your goals. If you are someone who is stuck in the hell of diet culture and think that working out is just about losing weight or getting in shape, then I'm here to tell you, I want to free you from that thinking. That binary thinking really kind of sucks because it limits you in the activities that you do and thinking that you must do something every day that is towards these binary goals. And listen, it's important to have goals, and I'll share some of mine. But what's also really important is that these goals go far beyond something as typical as, say, weight loss. And again, weight loss I'm not here to demonize weight loss at all because I think it's so incredibly important. What I am here to do is to remind you that there is a whole world of working out. Even the mental health benefits alone from exercise are absolutely amazing. So let's talk about some of these goals that we want to diversify. So first and foremost, let's make your goals short, sweet, and to the point. They don't need to go on for years and go on forever and be complicated. None of that is necessary. So making goals short, sweet, and to the point is really great because then you can name them rather easily. I also encourage you to focus your goals on the quality of life. Quality of life is what we're after. We work out not just to look good, but also to feel good and to be active participants in our own life. So we really want to focus on the quality of life and how is your life going to get better? Are you able to, for example, are you able to participate in your children's or your grandchildren's life? How is it going up and down stairs to get to your favorite movie theater? How is it for you how is your sleep? How are your eating habits? How is your mental health? All of that really, really, really matters. And it matters so much more than just, oh, let me work out so I look good. If you look good, you feel good. Yes, there is definitely a lot of truth to that. But again, I want to free your mind and I want to open you to so many different ways of being amazing. And lastly, we're going to scrap rigid deadlines. So, how many people have heard the phrase, I'm shredding for the wedding? Meaning, I've got this big event coming up. whether it's a wedding, a graduation, a reunion, or something like that. And people are like, I must do this, hit this goal by this time. Now, deadlines are nice because they keep us honest and they also keep us on track. But if what happens if you don't meet these self-imposed deadlines? Does that mean that you failed? Does it mean that you are less worthy as an athlete? Does it mean that everything you've done thus far doesn't matter? None of that. So yes, let's have a deadline, but let's keep it loose. Let's keep it flexible. Let's keep it easily digestible. So that way, if you get to the supposed deadline, then and you don't reach all of your goals, that you're still able to be proud and still being able to be excited about what you've accomplished so far. And guess what? Deadlines are allowed to change. They really are, especially the self-imposed ones. I'm telling you this from personal experience. So here are my goals. One of them is to make white guys angry. So if I'm doing something like pole dancing on a national stage, I want to make sure you know you're doing it right when there's some white guys, especially on TV, that are trying to tell me not to do it and why it's wrong and why it doesn't matter. So if I'm making some white guys like Howard Stern angry, then I'm doing the right thing. I think I'm on track. My other goals include kicking someone's ass. Now, I'm not advocating for violence whatsoever, not at all. But if someone starts something, I want to make sure that I can finish it, or at least be scrappy enough to put up a fight. And then, of course, I live in New York City, so therefore I'm forever hustling for a train. And if there's the last train of the night, I want to make sure that I make that train, because if I don't make that train, I'm likely going to have to take a really expensive car ride back home. And sometimes it's nice to have that car ride back home. Other times, that car ride back home is going to be $60 compared to the $3 subway ride. So physically, I want to make sure that I can hustle with all of my bags, all of my groceries, making sure that I can get to where I need to be kind of on time. I say kind of on time because the MTA isn't known for being generous and sticking to a time plan. So, step 3, let's talk about diversifying your activities and failing. So, if you are doing, if your idea of working out means being a slave to the treadmill, and that's the only way that you're allowed to be active, that sucks. I mean, treadmills are not the devil. That's reserved for the Stairmaster is the actual devil. But there's so many ways to be an athlete, and for as many ways as there is to be an athlete, there's just as many ways to be active. So I want you to think outside of the treadmill in terms of the activities that matter to you and what is going to bring you fun. Fun is your friend. One more time, because this is probably the most important slide that I have in this entire presentation. Fun is your friend. If you're not enjoying yourself, what on earth incentive do you have to continue doing said activity, especially as a grown adult? You are spending your time, your money, and your effort, all of which are precious. Why would you do it to do something that's miserable just because you feel like you have to? No, that's not a way to build a sustainable movement practice. That's a way to become bitter and resentful against movement. And that's what we're trying to avoid. Oh my gosh. So let's actually take a second to drop in the chat. What are some of your favorite ways to be active? I see that Jen is a fan of Tai Bo, which is so awesome. My mom used to love Tai Bo. Also hiking in forests. Oh, yes. Being outside in nature is amazing. Whether you are taking a hike through a forest or up a mountain, or if you're literally just hiking to the subway or going to hike to brunch, which is my favorite kind of hike, all of that counts. Terry, I see, is a fan. My yard is my fun friend. Oh, yard work is amazing. Holy cannoli Batman. There are so many things that you can do outside, whether you're hauling mulch, you're squatting down to pick up equipment, you are bending over, you're kneeling over to plant said equipment, you are raking leaves, you are mowing the lawn, all of that counts as activity. Um, someone here loves to jet ski. That is so fun. I did that once or twice. It is amazing. So we've got jet skiing, good eating, visiting theme parks. Oh, if you want to get your walking steps in, go to Disneyland for just one day, and I guarantee you will get all your steps in. Going in the pool with your granddaughter, that's probably one thing that is super incredible and super important to you. So I'm just about done here. I'm going to stop my share. And I want to just invite anybody else who has got any other questions or comments. If you're interested in stalking me, I'm going to put it in the chat, Roz the Diva. You can find me on Instagram. You can also go to my website. I do personal training, not just in person, but also online via Zoom. And so I would love to see some of you there. And feel free to sign up for the newsletter so you know when I'm coming and bringing my pole dancing to a city near you. And I think that is just about my time. So Charla, back to you.
Thank you, Roz. That was fantastic. Very inspiring story. And oh gosh, is there somewhere we can find it? Was your audition aired, or was it just the audition that you did?
It was just the audition that I did. They aired some clips.
Oh, okay.
But if you go to YouTube and search for Roz the Diva, you will find a whole library treasure trove of pole dancing videos.
Perfect. Yeah, I love that. Love that you do that, and what an amazing story and very inspiring for all of us listening today. So thanks so much for sharing and for sharing your how we can get a hold of you. And if anybody has any questions for Roz, feel free to type them in the chat. She's going to be watching that to get back to you, and be sure to connect with her as well. So thanks again, Roz.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn things over to our next speaker of the day. So Sade, if you want to turn on your video and your sound, I will introduce you. If you want to put your slides up while I introduce you, that would be great. So Sade is a passionate advocate for the well-being of parents of children with special needs. As an individual who started the unprepared journey of raising a child on the autism spectrum, she has experienced the pains of parenting a child with special needs. And she has learned the skills, art, and knowledge to find joy and fulfillment in challenges. Although she still faces challenges of parenting, she looks forward to every day with passion and excitement. Sade is dedicated to helping other parents of children with special needs to still find their own joy as they navigate the challenges of parenting. Please welcome our next amazing speaker for the day, Sade.
Hello, everyone. This is Shadi from all the way from the Valley of Strength. So, at Valley of Strength, what we do at Valley of Strength is just to motivate everyone, especially parents of children with special needs. And I call them the Valley Strong Parents. I motivate Valley Strong parents and I empower them to develop the confidence, clarity, resilience, and strength as they navigate their days, as they face the challenges of parenting, the challenges of raising children with special needs. I just love to empower them. I like seeing joys on their face, and I like seeing them happy, living a joyful life, still finding their own fulfillment in their lives as an individual and also as a parent in their journey. So, as a mother of an autistic child myself, this is something that I consider passionate because it's also my community of parents who raise children with special needs. So, when I feel I don't deserve a child with special needs, this is one of the common thoughts, the popular thoughts that comes through the mind of almost all the Valley strong parents, especially when parenting becomes overwhelming, when it becomes very exhausting sometimes. And we just can't help it but just to think, why me? Why do I have to find myself in this situation? Why do I deserve to raise a child with special needs? So, this is me and my daughter. And raising children with special needs has not been easy for me myself, but I still find joy to motivate and encourage others. I have the strength because I have developed the strength. I have studied the knowledge, the art, and the skills to still be joyful, to still have a loving life, to still find love in my life. And I like to radiate it to those around me, to my child with special needs, and to up my other typical children, to my spouse, to everyone around me, because we all need love, we all need joy. And as they say, YOLO, we only live once. So it's better, we are already in this journey, the journey of raising a child with special needs. We better find way to navigate our days with joy, strength, and resilience. Our story. This is my child. She's on the autism spectrum, and then she's in the middle school. She's in the middle school and she loves going to school. I feel safe sending her to school and she also feels safe at school. The children at her school, they love her, they watch out for her, and they understand her. The teachers at her school are very loving, they're very amazing. I just love that school and I'm very comfortable that my daughter is going to school. I feel safe that she's going to school. But now she's transitioning to high school. And then we've been warned, we've been advised not to expect the same type of experience as she moves on to high school, because high school is a different picture, is a different scenario. High school is a bigger setting, it's a bigger building, and the kids at high school, they are expected to take care of themselves. No one, she may not get the sort of comfort, she may not get the sort of support that she's getting at at a middle school right now. So they've told us not to expect this kind of safety that we're getting in the middle school. And comparing her to other children that are that are my daughter's age, some of them, they're already taking public transit by themselves. Some of them are already talking about driving schools, driving classes, driving. Some of them are already talking about their own first job, getting the first job. And here I am thinking about, worrying about safety, worrying about safety within the four walls, the buildings of even the school building, not even outside of the school building. But however, I'm still joyful. It's all about joyful living. It's all about finding the reason to be happy. It's all about having the deliberate effort just to be happy, to find happiness in every day. And truly and sincerely, I am joyful. This doesn't really worry me. It doesn't really bother me. Although I try to find solutions, although I focus on solutions, I know that it's something that I cannot sweep under the rug, under the carpet. It's something that I need to think of to find solution about, but it doesn't really bother me. So I just want to listen to okay, thank you. So like I said earlier, but however, when at Valley of Strength, when we choose to be joyful, it's not about overlooking the fact that we have challenges. It's not about saying that it's not about becoming a hero, like a superhero, and being numb to life situations, being numb. No, it's about acknowledging that we have some issues, and it's about navigating our days with strength and resilience. It's about showing up for all our challenges with the mindset that it is what it is. But however, we need to face it with strength, clarity, and resilience. It's about making joy, love, care, and fulfillment the highlight of our day. Why do I deserve a child with special needs? And when these thoughts, but however, the thought of why do I deserve a child with special needs can still come up, especially when parenting becomes very much overwhelming, especially in this situation when the temptation to compare your child with other children that are typical when it comes up. And then we begin to ask so many questions. The questions of why me? Especially when we've been good, especially when we are so used to the fairy tales when we were young, that only bad things comes to bad people, and only good things comes to good people's way. Or now my question is who deserves to raise a child with special needs? Because raising a child with special needs is not an experience that I would wish for anyone, especially those sleepless nights, especially when it becomes very much overwhelming. Is it the good people that are so used to the principle of the fairy tales that when they put the good things out there, they only expect the good things back in return? Or is it the perpetually favored people who have had it so easy from the past and will just by pattern, by design, will project the easy life into the future? Or is it those that have had it tough, those that have had it very rough in the past, that right now they just feel that they've paid their own fair share of tough times and now they are just deserving of the easy life? So who deserves to raise a child with special needs? One thing I've come to realize about raising children with special needs is that there is no discrimination. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter how protective your parents may have been. It doesn't matter how easy your life may have been in the past. And it doesn't matter sometimes how tough it had been in the past. It doesn't matter the financial status. It doesn't matter your faith. It doesn't matter as in, I'm yet to see the background. I'm yet to see that thing that kind of protects anyone from raising children with special needs. Sometimes it's just beyond our own human reasoning. That is what I've come to realize, that no one deserves to raise a child with special needs. But at the same time, we still find ourselves, some of us still find ourselves in this journey. And when we try to reason it through a human logical mind, it just doesn't make sense. And I've come to the conclusion that sometimes life is given. Sometimes sometimes there are things we can control, and there are things that we cannot control. There are things we cannot push away. We just accept it. Joyful living is about embracing all aspects of our lives, including the ones we can control and including the ones that we cannot control. That's joyful living, and facing it with a mindset of resilience and strength. Let's keep it simple. Pains are pains, and challenges are challenges. We are already, for those that are already raising children with special needs, we're already going through, let's let's take away complications. Let's keep it simple. Challenges are challenges. Raising children with special needs still comes under the umbrella of life challenges, of pains. And we will liken this raising children with special needs to one of those things, one of the challenges of life, one of the things that we cannot control, especially those undesirable life events. And with my studies on pains, on challenges, is that with every pain, no matter what you're going through, no matter how challenging, no matter how tough it seems, pains comes with the message. It comes with some messages for us to understand. Pains comes with the opportunities for us to grow, to advance, to become stronger. And sometimes pains are just unavoidable. No matter how much we try to keep ourselves safe, somehow, somehow, pains still find its way to some people, no matter how they try to avoid it, no matter how perfect they want life to be. That's it. That's one of the that's one of the nature of pains. The good side of pain is that at the end, it all makes sense. At the end, it may mean well. When the raccoon, when this, when this was going through the transformative experience, it may not find it desirable. It may come with some form of resistance, but in the end, it became more beautiful. So challenges sometimes we may not want it. We may consider it undesirable, but it is what it is. Challenges, the opportunities for us to advance, for us to grow. It's a call to embark on our hero's journey. It's a call for us to push us out of our comfort zone through discomforts so that we can find some comfort in a higher level. Pains, challenges, sometimes it's a way of telling us that it's time to move on, that that place where we consider comfort does not serve us anymore, does not serve the new chapter, the higher chapter of our lives. But one thing I've also discovered about pains is that pains are just opportunities. Pains are just opportunities for us, and not every one of us, not everybody will advance through pains. Not everyone will grow, will move on to the higher level, will move on, will grow through challenges. And this is because of our attitude. And Anne-Marie Lindbergh explained it. She explained it well, perfectly for me. I do not believe that shared suffering teaches. If suffering alone taught, all of the world would be wise, since everyone suffers. To suffering must be added mourning, understanding, patience, love, openness, and the willingness to remain vulnerable. So when we go through pain sometimes, we all go through some kind of pains. Like I said earlier, pains are pains. We all go through some seasons of life. The wind blows on us in different ways, in a variety of ways. And life is about creativity. We all don't have to raise children with special needs. No, not every one of us will raise children with special needs. But at some point, some of us will also go through some seasons of life. But what makes us grow? What defines us? What makes us the hero of our story? What makes us the hero at the end of our hero's journey is our attitude to challenges, our attitude to pains. To be able to find the highness of the valley, although Raising children with special needs may feel as if we are living in, we are taking our position in the valley side of nature, while we watch parents of typical children that are taking their position high up in the valley. But there are beauty, there is beauty, there are many things, there are hidden treasures in the valley. To be able to see the beauty and feel the highness of the valley, we need to meet life challenges with the right attitude. To be able to understand the messages, those hidden messages, to decode those messages that comes with life challenges, we need to meet with the right attitude and to be able to discover the treasures, the hidden treasures in the valley. For I know that in all parts of nature, there are treasures to be discovered. To be able to find these, find the hidden treasures, the scavenger hunts, to be able to know that we need to meet pains with the right attitude. And that is what Valley of Strength is all about. Valley of Strength is about helping the valley strong parents to find the treasures in the valley, to understand the messages of the valley, to understand the messages, why the messages, the strengths, the opportunities for advancements that comes through raising children with special needs. Valley of Strength is about empowering valley strong parents to still live a joyful life, find fulfillment in their journey as parents of children with special needs. And that is what Valley of Strength is all about. With this, to I've come with a combination of some attitudes, with the right attitude, the habit, the values to make us experience the high side of the valley, high valley pathway. The attitude, the values that puts us on the pathway that will lead us to the high side of the valley, to feel the highness of the valley. This program comes in 9 modules. Self identity. With self identity, when we know ourselves as valley strong parents, when we know ourselves, when life event comes up, when the challenges, when the surprises of raising children with special needs, when they come up, and when you're deep rooted in yourself, when you know yourself, those challenges sometimes may shake us, but it's not likely to uproot us. It's not likely to knock us down because you know yourself. Spirituality. With spirituality, you are able to answer some questions that we are not able to get through the logical reasoning of our mind. Like I said earlier, raising children with special needs sometimes don't make sense to us, especially when we are very convinced that we don't deserve it. Forgiveness. For those that are raising children with special needs, they will understand what I mean by forgiveness. It's like our emotions, it's always at the edge, waiting to burst out at the slightest event. Every day it's like a game. It's like our emotions is just put to test at the every instant, at the slightest provocation. We need to let go of negative emotions. We need to learn the art of forgiveness so that we can travel light, so that we can meet the new day, the new dawn, and welcome the opportunities and feel the highness of the valley. Acceptance. Acceptance is true living. Accepting the difficult, accepting coming to terms that we are raising children with special needs. But acceptance is reality. That is true living. Accepting our own reality, accepting the difficult reality, embracing life. The high value pathway helps us to embrace all aspects of our lives. Embracing all aspects of our lives, including the undesirable and including the desirable, transcending pains. When we go through those challenges, those daily surprises of raising children with special needs, high value pathway gives us the art, the skills to transcend beyond those pains and move beyond those pains. Abundance. Parenting is about giving, but parenting children with special needs requires giving a little more. And giving a little more should come from a place of abundance. So when we find ourselves in this community of raising children with special needs, high value, with value strong parents, we need to find a way just to create abundance, abundance of emotions, abundance of values, and let go of the scarcity mindset. Dating life. High value pathway helps us to find a way to allow that little child in us play again. Let the little child in us come out to play and have fun. Dating life, we need to learn how to play again. We need to learn how to laugh again, especially when raising a child with special needs, it becomes a little more overwhelming. Sometimes we forget how to laugh. Making choices. So, with all the earlier values, the previous values, self identity, spirituality, forgiveness, acceptance, embracing life, transcending, and all these values, when we learn to make choices now, so making choices does not come.
Sade, if you could just wrap it up.
Okay,
It's a bit over right now.
making choices does not become difficult again. And with all this, I want you to feel the experience. I want you to experience the high side of the valley, the highness of the valley. And that's why I'm sharing this with you to feel the highness of the valley, just to experience the self identity session of the high valley pathway. Thank you. I'll be sharing my link on in the chat, and thank you for listening to me. High valley pathway. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sade, for sharing. And I know you resonated with some ladies in the chat, definitely some parents. And I think we've got some parents of special needs children that's watching today. So I'm sure that chapter that you're sharing is going to be a big value to these ladies. So thank you so much for sharing, Sade. And I'll introduce our next speaker. And as I said throughout the day today, I would share some things about One Woman and why women join and be a part of One Woman. You know, of course, first and foremost, as I mentioned at the beginning, women join One Woman to empower women globally. I've learned that women have hearts like mine, that they're all wanting to empower women and girls around the world. And so that's often why women join and be a part of One Woman, is that they've came across our website and want to be a part of what we do globally. But I would say right behind that is, of course, speaking, which is part of our empowered membership, is that a lot of women come to us because they've attended a Fearless Summit, much like you're watching today, and they say, I want to share my Fearless story. And you can do that. That's probably the number one question I get is, how can I share my Fearless story? And this stage is for every woman to be able to share. And you've learned how powerful that is already today. So that's another part of the membership, is being able to share your fearless story, whether that's one of our live events that happen around the world or during a World Summit online, where women can join in and listen and watch anywhere in the world. So during the next speaker, I'll share in the chat our link to be able to join One Woman. I always do a special promo on Fearless, during Fearless events, at our live events and our World Summits, that you can join at a discounted price to be able to be a part of One Woman. And as I said, throughout the day, I'll share some of the other benefits that go along with that. So our next amazing speaker is Emily. Emily the songbird is a rare bird. She is a phoenix who has risen from the ashes 1,000 times through her quest to find her song and metaphorical music man. She has written and sung her dream life into existence as an author, musician, and creativity coach. Please welcome our next speaker and sacred songstress, Emily.
Thank you so much, Charla. I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. And I actually think that from that last talk that I have an inner special child. And so building that relationship, I don't know about you, but building that relationship with that inner special child is quite a journey. And so I'd like to take you on a journey today. So I remember hearing this sound for the first time when I was laying on the floor of a sound dome in Alicante, Spain. This is a Tibetan bowl, and this is made up of 7 different metals that are supposed to emanate the sound of the Om, which was the Hindu sound that supposedly initiated the creation of the universe. Now, I know that our sound is off, but I'm going to invite us to put our hands on our hearts and to give ourselves that loving compassion that we all need, and to hold that hand on the heart. And then I'm going to invite us to make the sound of the Om, to feel what it feels like in your body, the tones. And while we do that, I'm going to invite us to send that loving kindness and energy, healing vibration out to the whole world, all beings. So I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and we can Om together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Om. And with this sound, I would like to initiate us on our heroine's journey to find our song, because I know that this may be different for everyone on the path, but starting with that question can be really powerful. And that's how I started 20 years ago, when I found myself in the room of a sound healer in Portugal. I had left everyone and everything I knew in Portland, Oregon, and I was teaching in an at-risk high school. And I had a nervous breakdown. And in Sanskrit, it's called a kriya. And so I had this breakdown, and then I completely changed the trajectory of my life. I had always loved music. I had always loved to sing and dance with my father, but growing up in an alcoholic household, growing up as a girl, when I was born a girl, my grandfather walked out of the hospital the day just because I was born a girl. And so I had a real challenge with a sense of belonging and a sense of feeling good enough from the very beginning that I was born into this world. And so music was a refuge for me. It was a place that I could go to be able to feel the healing vibrations of the one song of all creation, as the Hindus say. And what's interesting is there are 3 elements of music. The first one is rhythm. And so with science, there was the Big Bang theory. And from that Big Bang, there were sound waves that emanated from that. There was timbre, there was frequency, right? From that explosion and that expansion came sound. So if from the very beginning of creation, if there was sound, does that mean that we ourselves are sound? Does that mean that we ourselves might even be music? So we have that rhythm maker inside our own hearts. And so again, I would just invite you to put your hand on your heart and feel the rhythm and the pulse of your life. And to ask yourself, is this part of my song? Rhythm drives the dance of life. In Japanese, the word for rhythm, one of them is hyoshi, which means child's clap. And so, if any of you love to dance, which I sure do, there's a unique rhythm that we have. You've ever heard of that phrase that I beat to the beat of my own drum, right? So, we're all unique beings. We're all these unique notes on this musical path. And so, but finding the groove, finding the way that we fit into the whole is a wonderful question on this Find Your Song path. So the second element in music is melody. And melody, rhythm is that repeated tones, right? The repetition of tones over and over again, and it drives the melody of a song. And the melody is the tune of the song. And so if you think about the tunes, and sometimes if we go way back to when we were younger, that maybe our mothers might have sang to us songs, or there are tunes that stay with us all our lives. And I think lullabies are a beautiful way to connect in with melody. But melody, when we have that one song, one sound of all creation, it's actually separated in Western music into 12 magic vibrations. And this is called the music alphabet. And if I start actually at the beginning of the keyboard, and I just go black and white keys from an A to an A, that's what's called the 12 magic vibrations, the music alphabet, or the chromatic scale. And so a wonderful way to learn about melody takes me back to my childhood and takes me back to the movie The Sound of Music. And if you've ever seen The Sound of Music, it is a delightful expression of music, but what happens is it takes place during World War II and the Nazis and the occupation of the Nazis. And so the music is not welcome, which is really interesting because if you look at our world and the country even that I'm living in right now, there is an oppression and suppression of empathetic emotion, right? So music is a language of the emotions, and it is a way to bridge to empathy. It's a way to soothe ourselves, and it's a way to build empathetic bridges with others. And so from those 12 magic tones, we get to put them in certain patterns of whole steps and half steps. And all instruments do this. And so, but in The Sound of Music, what Maria, the main character and the music teacher, does, which is what I've been doing for 20 years with the families that I teach, is she taught that there these 8 notes that make up your major scale have the solfeggio go with it. So it's like do, and you're welcome to sing along if you know this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And so Maria was trying to teach this to the kids, and they said, well, I don't get it. That's not music, right? How is that music? And so she said, well, let's think about this, right? Let's start at the very beginning. When we read, we begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with do, re, mi, do, re, mi. The first 3 notes just happen to be do, re, mi, do, re, mi. And then she does do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti to demonstrate that. And then she starts in with the song. And join me if you would like. Do, a deer, a female deer. Ray, drop of golden sun. Me, a name I call myself. Far along the way to run. And so forth and so on. And so this was a way to teach the melody of music, right? And so when you have the rhythm, which is what makes us want to move to music, and what is so healing about the movement of music, and then we have the melody, which is what the tune is, and then the final element of music is harmony. And it's interesting for me because harmony, I've been on this path for 20 plus years, helping people find their song. I moved through tremendous performance anxiety, body armoring. I wrote a book to guide myself through all the fear that was really preventing me from expressing what is so natural to do, which is to sing and to dance and to play instruments. And so what happened to me, and I have a small confession, is what happened to me is I haven't slept all night, and in the middle of the night, I was just gripped with fear, and I was like, how can I be a speaker on a fearless women's summit when I am gripped with fear right now? And I didn't understand it. But as I've gone on in this journey to discover more about myself, Sade was talking about the hero's journey, and that's actually what I wrote my book about, is that we have to be courageous to go on this path, to really grow into the fullness of who we are and to expand our consciousness. And for those of us who are wounded healers, let's say, we have to go through all those wounds to get to the other side, to be fully and wholly the song that we're meant to be. And so I was gripped with fear, and I went back to a tool that I had learned on my more recent path, because I was getting a little bit strangled by my role as a music teacher, because there was so much that I wanted to do and learn and grow into, and I felt kind of restricted from it. And so I had to ask new questions. I had to ask questions like, how do I build empathetic bridges to people in the world who have such differing beliefs? And how do I become a courageous lover on this path, right? Bringing love and light in a world that has so much suffering. And how do I continue to heal myself through the wounds, a sense of struggling with belonging in the world, a sense with not feeling good enough. And so one of my beloved teachers, Tara Brock, taught me this process called RAIN, and it's an acronym. So when I was laying in bed, I started to do some tapping, right, to calm myself down and going, okay, you're feeling fear, but it's okay, you're feeling fear. And then to recognize, what she says is recognize when you are in a trance of unworthiness. And so I started to recognize that. And when you're in a trance of unworthiness, you feel separate from the rest of the tribe. You feel separate, and you feel small, and you feel insignificant, and so that's what I was feeling. That I was feeling all those feelings, those wounds coming up. And so the A in RAIN is to allow, just to allow the feelings to be there. And so that fear, a little bit of sadness and anger and grief, and just holding that space in my heart for myself. And so then the A is for investigate. Okay, how am I feeling? I have a knot in my stomach. I have this in my throat. I feel like I'm being strangled. And so I walked myself through that. And then the N is for nurturing. And so I was able to nurture myself. And the way that I've done that for years is through words and through music. And so I wrote a song. And I started writing it last night, but I finished it this morning, and I'm going to share with you the lyrics of it. I want to be mindful of the time, and I'd like to share with you the song, because this is a way that I use music and words to help me to navigate this world as a highly sensitive, highly creative person, woman. So it's called I Am a Woman. I am a woman with the eyes of a child. I have a strong will and a heart that beats wild. I know what it's like to be silenced and shamed, to walk in a room where nobody knows your name. But we're all in this song together. We'll dance through discordant weather, And love will heal our pain. Love will bring the rain. And love will guide us deep inside us where we remember why we came. I am a woman who will speak and sing her truth. I have awakened from the trance, and I believe in you. I know what it's like to be hidden and small, but if you hear these words, know that you have been called. And so when I wrote those words, I sat with my guitar and I started to put music to it. And I knew I was kind of crazy because, like, how many people would just write a song and then sing it the very next day? But that's the rare bird that I am. So it goes like this. I am a woman with the eyes of a child, with a will that is strong and a heart that is wild. So what I'm going to do, because I just started, sorry, I got to go back to the song just really quick, because forgive me, because I'm just doing. I am a woman with the eyes of a child, with a strong will and a heart that beats wild. I know what it's like to be silenced in shame, to walk in a room where nobody knows your name, but we're all in this song together. We can dance through this discordant weather, and love will heal our pain, and love will bring the rain, and love will guide us deep inside us to remember why we came. And I remember why I have come. I have come to this world to be a light of love. And I was feeling so isolated and so alone in my journey. But remembering that third element of harmony reminded me that I am connected to the one woman and the one song of all creation. And a few days ago, my stepdad gave me this book, and it's called I Heard There Was a Secret Chord, Music as Medicine. And these words are from the Leonard Cohen song, Hallelujah. And I'm going to read you the first verse of the song, and then I'm going to invite us to end our session today by singing it if you know the words. And so it says, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah. And as a music teacher, it's interesting because the song actually reflects what happens musically. It's in the key of G. And then when it goes to the fourth, the fifth, this is the fourth chord in the song, and the D is the fifth chord, and the E minor is that minor in the song. And so it's so interesting in the musical perspective, but at a larger level, at a soul perspective, to me, this hidden chord, this secret chord, is your soul expression. It's your unique spark in this world, and it is meant to be shared, and it is meant to be expressed. And the mystery that music really is part of the energy that flows through everything and everyone. And so I would invite us, and I know it's going to be kind of crazy, but I would invite us to actually turn on our microphones and see what would happen if we sing these words together. And if it's too chaotic, no worries, but I thought it would be wonderful to hear our voices. So I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? So if you would like to sing along with me, you're welcome to turn on your microphone and give it a go. It goes like this. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, minor fall in the major lift, baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 If you are interested in finding your song in a deeper way, I will leave my information in the chat. And this is Emily the Songbird wishing you a magical, musical, and miraculous day. Namaste.
Thank you, Emily. That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing your fearless story, and thank you for sharing your amazing voice and talents. And wow, what a gifted lady you are. So thank you so much for that. And I'm going to roll into our next amazing speaker for today. And as I mentioned, women become a part of One Woman for lots of different reasons. Of course, speaking and sharing their fearless story and their powerful voice. But another reason why women join One Woman is sometimes to host fearless summits. As you probably saw from our website, these events happen right around the world. And I mentioned that there's events going on tomorrow in Mississauga and in Atlanta and in Bali, Indonesia. But yet I'm sitting right here doing this World Summit online. So how does that happen? It's because of amazing women like you who host fearless summits right around the world. So if that's something that calls on your heart, that you want to bring women together to gather and to listen to powerful stories and to share powerful messages in your city or community, you can definitely do that. And that's another part of your membership. So I'm going to introduce Atusa, who is our next amazing speaker for today. So Atusa, if you want to turn on your sound and your video, Atusa is recognized as a shaman, transformational heart-centered healer, spiritual guide, and motivational speaker. She is also an award-winning best-selling author, poet, and digital artist. Her passion is to help people light up by guiding them to release their traumas and reprogram their fear-based living into a more heart-centered, peaceful life. Atusa's extensive experience comes from years of transforming the life of her clients to tap into their truth, heart, and experience of their desired life, and in turn, change the lives of those around them. Please welcome our next amazing speaker for today, Atusa.
Thank you, Charla. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all you amazing women that are here today. And the topic I had picked to talk about today is the space before thought. And this is a space that I discovered throughout healing myself and coming to this point. And this space is the space of existence, of us being, our soul, whatever it is that we call this space really doesn't matter, but it's that energy of our existence and being. And the way I came to discover, just like everyone that's talked so far, is through my own journey. I, about probably 20 years ago, I had one of those moments where you're just sitting and everything around you has fallen apart and you're like, how did I get here? What is happening right now? And for me, that was about probably, not quite 20 years ago, about 16 years ago to be exact. And that was when I was going through a really bad divorce. From an abusive husband, ex-husband. And I couldn't work. And because I was so stressed at that point that every time I sat to in front of my computer to do any kind of work, it would be as if I'm reading Chinese. I could not understand the word on screen. I could not do anything. And I had a small child, and my house was about to go in foreclosure. I had already gotten the notice and I wasn't working. I'm like, what is happening right now? And that is when sort of I paused and said, okay, this is an opportunity to show me I cannot live my life this way anymore. Everything's piled on top of each other because now it's time to see how I got here. What happened that I got here? What am I meant to do here? And the reason I had come to this place was because I grew up living, as I say it now, I wasn't diagnosed, but I think from the moment I came into this world, I had PTSD. And I had so much fear and anxiety in me as young as I can remember. And that started from my parents getting divorced at 2. And again, it was one of those really horrible divorces. I know all divorces are not good, but this one was another really bad one. I had an abusive dad, more verbally, emotionally abusive. I lived in a country that was going through revolution. I went through revolution of Iran, the war at that point, and all of it piled on top of each other, all that fear from different aspects. And that's how we came to US. And that was another big fear. That was another, I was only about 10, 11 at that point, to come here, not speak a word of English, and not even know how to live in this environment, come to totally different place. And all of that, then I said, okay, at 11, I was like, okay, my life is out of control. I need to get control back. And I started with trying to be the best student, be the best that I could be. And so that wanting to be the best actually, in a lot of ways, created success. I got my high school diploma at 16. I got my engineering bachelor's degree, electrical engineering degree at 19. And I was on my way as an engineer, and I became very successful. And I got married, but all of that was built on a foundation that was shaky anyway. All that fear, all those things that I didn't want to be seen. I grew up thinking that I was less. I grew up thinking that I wasn't deserving. And all of that built on top of each other at some point had to crumble to show me myself, to show why I was the way I was. Every decision I would make was because of those identities and fears that I created. And when I talk about identities, it's these roles we play in life because we want to be loved. We want to be accepted. We want to feel we're part of something. And we want to receive all that love and acceptance from outside rather than bring it up from inside of us. And that's exactly what I had to do. So at that point, that everything had fallen apart, I said, okay, again, opportunity to see why I got here. It's time. And the first step was I take responsibility for my life, meaning I wasn't going to blame my parents, my upbringing, my situation, anything like that. I said, I'm responsible. Everything that has happened up to this point, it is my choosing. All those things that I said, my dad did this, and if I wasn't born here, if I wasn't born into this family, if this hadn't happened, if that hadn't happened, all of those, no, I chose all of them. And that choosing, that responsibility, taking responsibility, opened up the way for me to start seeing these characters and roles and identities that I had created. And one by one, I started getting deeper into it, accepting it, acknowledging them. And by forgiving myself and forgiving others, and that forgiveness came in layers and layers, then more and more I was able to love myself. And the more I loved myself, it was this opening that started to happen. And I started remembering that as a child, I was really, really young. I think I wasn't even elementary school, and I used to watch these movies of prophets, and I was like, I want to be that. Not that I wanted to be a prophet, but that healing work that I thought they were doing, I wanted to be a healer. And I remembered all those feelings as I was very young that I had inside, that there was a truth inside, that I knew that truth. And somewhere along the way, I forgot with all these layers that had built up. But then it's like, yes, those layers needed to be built. Those things needed to happen to get me to this point. Because without any of that, without any of those experiences, I would not be in this place. I would not be able to do what I do. And all of that gave me those tools and techniques, that everything that I needed to be able to do the work I am today with my clients, to be able to help them heal their past traumas, to be able to get them to see themselves, to find that love, to be able to forgive and accept. And I always quote Rumi's poem, is that I'm paraphrasing, but it talks about, we are here to find that love within us, to let go of these layers, to discover that love that's always inside of us. So the space of thought that I'm talking about before thought is that space of love, that space of unconditional love and acceptance, that it is us, it's our true nature, is what we came here to be. It's our existence. And in that space, it's like you're the ocean, you are the ocean. And any emotions that are coming, they're just like waves on top of this ocean. You can have the emotion because the ocean is not scared of the waves. The waves come and go. What's steady is the ocean. And that's who we are. If we don't follow the thoughts of these roles and characters that come, that say, this should happen this way, our attachment and control to wanting things to be a certain way, to happen a certain way, or not happen a certain way. Those attachments to those desires that control is those thoughts that keep building, and we follow them. So if we don't follow the thoughts of these little characters that we play in our movie of life, and we pause and find the space within us, again, that you are ocean, allow everything to come, not to be afraid, because what fear does, as we see in our world, it's, I talk about that in my book, The History of Fear, and that fear, generations and generations throughout our world, has separated all of us by country, by region, by male, female, all of it. That separation has caused more fear to build and build and build, and is passed down and passed down and passed down. And so if we pause and find a space with us and find a space of love and acceptance, and we can let go of our fears, we'll be more open and accepting, not just for us to grow, but for others to come and be in this space with us. And so I think Charla mentioned about me and what I do, but that is my passion. And that's the work I do now with clients. I help them release their past traumas. I have different modalities that I use. And I put all my experiences, and also it's a self-help how-to guide book that's called Change Yourself, Change the World. And this little book, I'm very proud of it, that has won many awards and it was a bestseller. And a lot of my own poems are in this book as well. And the cover art is my own artwork. And after we're done, I'll put a slide that's going to have all my information and the link, so you guys can reach out if I can help in any way, or if you have questions. And the book is available on Amazon as ebook and as a paperback, as well as audiobook.
Thank you so much, Atusa. So she will share that in the chat. Are you able to share your screen and put it up on the screen as well, Atusa?
Yes, I would love to do that, since
Yeah,
we already practiced it. Here we go.
Exactly. Then people can see it in the recording as well.
Yes, and that's a little bit about me and my work and how you can connect with me. My website's easy to remember. It's just my first name and last name.com, and I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Would love to hear from you guys. Just say hello. And yep, that's my podcast. I do have a podcast that, again, is just guidance. That was a name that I came up with. Goodbye Bullshit, Hello Happiness, was to say goodbye to all these rules that we have in our lives that are not letting us live more freely. And yeah, so, and the book information is there, and the QR code brings you to my website. Thank you,
Wonderful.
everybody.
Thank you so much, Atusa, for sharing. So yeah, next thing I wanted to share about why women become a part of One Woman is just the ability to be able to network and connect with amazing women from right around the world. So you're meeting some of these women today, but you know, we have just thousands of women globally. And it's just wonderful to meet other amazing women who do all kinds of incredible things and learn about what each others are doing, but be able to support and encourage each other on the journey. And we get together twice a month to be able to network and connect and meet other amazing women globally. And so, yeah, that's another part of being an empowered member, is just being able to connect with other amazing women. We're a large networking organization, and our reach is almost 500,000 women globally. So that's the joy of being at this and doing this for the last 10 years, is that I've met a lot of amazing women right around the world. So I'm going to introduce our next amazing speaker for today. We have Tara Livingston joining us from Calgary as well. I think Tara's in. So I'll introduce Tara and let her take it away. So Tara Livingston is a dynamic voice in the world of resilience and recovery, drawing from personal experience to inspire and educate audience about the profound impacts of stroke, aphasia, apraxia, foreign accent syndrome, and the often overlooked grief that comes with such life-altering events. Please welcome our next amazing speaker for today, Tara Livingston.
Hello, everyone. In the fall of 2023, the world of Tara Livingston, former Anglican priest, public speaker, leadership trainer, marriage course facilitator, divorce mediator, counselor, chaplain, took a right turn Actually, my life took a U-turn. Seems that the God of creation, wisdom of the universe, or the spirit of life, or whatever you believe runs the world, decided to turn my life upside down. But it wasn't a joke, it was my life. Now, sometimes I say, I can't take one more thing. Now, as you are hearing me speaking, imagine a thought bubble, an inner narrator, but it sounds like Morgan Freeman. In his beautiful deep tones, my thoughts sound like, and Tara believed that she couldn't take one more thing, but alas, she has to endure more challenges before this long journey comes to an end. When I daydream, it's not Morgan Freeman narrating. It's my own old voice, my real authentic voice. It's my Tara voice, and its deep, rich, and resonant voice that carries a full commanding presence. It's the same voice that once filled churches, inviting and soothing with every word. I had a way with pacing and rhythm, an emotional expression that captivated listeners, leaving them eager for more. But now, the voice in my head, my old voice, isn't the one that you're hearing. I've lost that beautiful pacing and rhythm. And to me, my tone and pitch are all wrong. This alien voice, the one that you hear, I've dubbed Tatiana. She seems to like that she's from Eastern Europe, and she has no rhythm, no resonant tone, and zero control over volume. To be clear, I am third generation Canadian from Hamilton, Ontario. English is the only language I speak. It all started on November 8th, 2023. I woke up and I couldn't speak clearly. My words were jumbled, sounds and syllables smashed together in a mess. I called my son and he immediately knew what was wrong. Mommy, you're having a stroke. I'm calling the ambulance. A stroke? But I felt fine. Stroke victims usually have partial paralysis, but my body seemed okay. I checked my face in my mirror. It looked normal. I tried to speak to my son, but all that came out was gibberish. I was furious, losing control over my voice, my words. My articulate, expressive self was rebelling against me. I couldn't express my needs, my fears, or my identity. Everything I knew just vanished. Poof. Who am I now? At the hospital, things got worse. I asked for a paper and pen, hoping I could at least write my thoughts down, but even forming letters into words was impossible. The night before my stroke, I was editing my first novel. I'd written it over 3 months, and now all that work, all those words, felt like they had been blown away. I spent 5 weeks in rehab, filled with therapy appointments. I learned some tricks like pausing instead of stuttering, but my speech was clunky and hesitant. So much for rhythm and pacing. This was my life then, confused, frustrated, and terrified. And the question that kept running through my mind, now back into Morgan Freeman's voice, will Tara ever use her words again to make people lean in less and listen again? The time in rehabilitation was spent battling aphasia, a condition that disrupts language skills like speaking, understanding, reading, and writing, though it doesn't affect intelligence. Aphasia stems from brain damage, such from a stroke, and its severity varies from mild difficulty finding words to an inability to communicate entirely. Speech therapy, along with the support from my loved ones, helped me regain some of my abilities after time. Daily life in rehab was grueling. Speech therapy 3 times a day and long walks with my physical therapist to stay sane. Talking was the hardest. My thoughts were clear, at least I thought they were clear. But my words emerged jumbled, backward, and wrong, as if my brain was speaking an unknown language. Frustration boiled over, not at my caregivers, but at myself. My lifelong ally, words, had become my enemy, leaving me to mourn my loss of my identity as a writer, a speaker, and a storyteller. A few months after my stroke, my voice changed again, and Tatiana took over. This isn't just some random quirk. It's a condition sometimes linked to trauma, though I can only speculate about the cause. The name of the condition says everything: foreign accent syndrome. Every now and then, for a few precious hours every month, my Tara voice returns, filling me with joy. In fact, I woke up this morning with my Tara voice and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm about to do a speech about Tatiana. Anyway, Tatiana always comes back. But no matter how much I cherish those moments, I have to accept that Tatiana is here to stay. She's fierce, she's stubborn, and she's not going anywhere. Now, let me talk to you about my new concept called the bracket theory. Losing a loved one plunges you into a foggy first bracket, juggling grief and logistical tasks like funeral arrangements. Afterwards, the second bracket closes when the family and friends gather to share their memories and their grief. The funeral, or the celebration of life, marks a slow return into life, though forever changed. However, those facing major medical loss lack this ritual closure. We endure the busy work, rehab, therapy, and doctor visits, but have no symbolic service to say goodbye to our past selves. Many of us never pause to grieve the parts of ourselves we've lost, let alone fully embrace our new lives. Recovery may include both physical and emotional healing. I recommended that the hospital staff incorporate psychologist, social worker, or chaplain visits in the onboarding process to stroke patients. Now, closing the bracket. One sunny day, I gathered my sons and a dear friend, a retired minister, to name what had been lost, since my stroke. Around the fire pit, I began with statements of intention, acknowledging the life I had built on language, writing, speaking, and poetry was gone. My eldest voice son voiced his grief for the mother he remembered, but expressed gratitude that my humor, my love, and my essence endured. I symbolically placed one of my handwritten sermons into the fire, releasing the voice and identity I had cherished. As the flames consumed the pages, we focused on dreams and possibilities, laughing at how my future grandchildren would know me, my voice as normal, sounding like Tatiana. My sons reassured me that despite everything, my words and my presence still mattered. The ashes became a reminder that hope can arise from loss. At the gathering's end, I received this deep pink pashmina, a symbol of strength for the future. For the first time in months, I felt real, tangible hope, a renewed vision of life, not as a nonprofit executive, but as someone with a voice and a message that could still make a difference, even if it sounds different now. Now, my life is not easy. I currently face challenges in maintaining a typical job. I find numbers confusing. Sometimes I have difficulty understanding conversations, and I tire after working on a task for about 2 hours. Now, one thing that fascinates me with my brain is my condition is that all of my lyrics, all of those songs, I built it out with the radio, gone. Even though the deer, I can't even do that. Anyway, all of the lyrics gone, poof. Now imagine listening to a well-known songs that you've known for the past and only being able to hum along. Another thing that I don't have access to is familiar sayings or idioms. I might say something about the black cat and the pot, but I can't remember the saying. But I know that the meaning of the phrase is to be a hypocrite. For reference, I looked it up on Google, and the phrase, the pot calling the kettle black. There's no cat in the phrase. But since my stroke, I've found a new rhythm in life. I've shared my rehabilitation journey with hundreds, started a YouTube channel, and learned to laugh at my unpredictable voice. Using AI, I wrote 2 books based on my expertise, one on lasting marriages and another on grieving after trauma, titled Finding Hope, Embracing Grief After Trauma, based on the bracket theory that I spoke about earlier. By accepting my reality, I've inspired others to accept themselves after medical loss. It seems that I had to lose my voice to find it. Morgan Freeman has been retired as my inner narrator, and I've accepted, actually I've embraced, that now my Tatiana voice narrates my inner thoughts. I've been interviewed for publications, advocated for grief counseling for stroke survivors, and spoken to speech therapy and rehabilitation professionals to shape future care. What once felt like an ending has become a beginning, a life fueled by purpose and passion and the drive to make a difference. My journey has come full circle, transforming loss into a powerful catalyst for positive change. Embracing my new voice has allowed me to connect deeply with others, offering hope and encouragement. Each day, I'm reminded that resilience is a testament to the human spirit, and from the ashes of adversity, beauty and strength can emerge. Maybe the God of creation, wisdom of the universe, or the spirit of life has taken pity on me. It seems that I have found my voice. I used to say, give me a microphone and a group of people and the microphone, and I'm good to go. So thank you for letting me use your microphone. I will put a link in the chat to, if you look at say Amazon CA, you can find it from Kindle, and right now it's a sale for $0. Anyway, thank you very much for letting me share this fearless journey.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Tara, and yeah, being vulnerable to share, your own powerful story. Like every woman today, it takes courage to share that, and and to teach others, because I think we all learned lots of things today. Before I met Tara, I had never heard of the foreign accent syndrome before, and my brother had a stroke, and so I just find it always interesting that how that can show up very differently depending on where that stroke happens in the brain. And I know there are some questions in the chat too, Tara, if you have time to take a look at those, and a lot of comments and things like that that the ladies had. So thanks so much for sharing, and also sharing the link to your book. Yes, free is a fabulous deal. So thank you so much for sharing that today. So I'm going to turn things over to our next amazing speaker for today, which is Jen. So I will introduce Jen as I think she has some slides, so it'll give her a chance to pull those up. So Jen is a passionate photographer and artist that welcomes the weird, celebrates imagination, and creates opportunity for belonging. She has been in business over 17 years and added a new hyper niche brand, Weirdo Wedding Photography, in 2020, and her speaking brand, Pink Hair Jen, in 2022. Jen's passion and drive is connecting with others through creativity, conversation, and self-expression. Please welcome our next amazing speaker for today, Jen.
There we go. I had to share my screen and mute at the same time, unmute at the same time. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Everybody can see everything. Everybody can hear me. Okay. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm here to be with you today and talk about becoming limitless. And I want to preface this presentation involves all of my own artwork. And the biggest thing for me this last year was to be open and sharing pieces of art that I have put together in the photography and fine art world. So this is kind of like a part of my story along with sharing some of my work with you. So our talk today is about pathways to vision, expansion, and creativity. And you'll see as we go how interesting it could get for all of you, as we've had all these wonderful speakers today. By the way, everybody has been fabulous. And thank you, Charla, for opening up opportunities like this to share stories. Let's see if I can make sure I hit the slide. All right, so as you can see, I'm Pink Hair Jen. I'm a wedding photographer and conceptual artist and speaker. So you're going to see me doing and talking about a lot of different things here. I've been married for this year 20 years, actually. I need to update this slide. But I am just a huge fan of creativity and self-expression and the way that we look at the world through art and our own eyes. And like we had earlier, we had music and how sound and vibration and things go out into the world in creation. So this is kind of like what I love doing. I love talking about it. I love having conversations. So let's get into it. This is my weird Barbie self, where I really love expressing myself as weird Barbie. So many of us can relate to the hustle and bustle of, well, not only being a business owner, but just a human in general. we are sometimes just pressured and overwhelmed with the everyday life. And sometimes it's down to the hour, right? And some days you're just like, oh, I just can't take it anymore. I've had many days where I've just wanted to quit everything and just kind of move on. But like sometimes we're walking through something like we know something is wrong, but we don't really know what is wrong. It hasn't been shown to us. We don't understand. Even earlier, we were talking about grief. Like, there's a lot of things in the last few years that I realized were grief that I had to like acknowledge as grief. Because I was saying in the chat, I was like, how do you grieve something that's not a human? Like, it's not a person, it's a thing in your life that you're having to let go of. Another thing we can look at is you seem happy, but really deeper, you're kind of like miserable. And this piece of art is a good way to express how I felt at one time in my life, where I was in a white gown, I was walking around seemingly happy, but I really had a giant tree of everything you could think of that had been weaved onto my back. It was so interesting to have this piece of my life where I was carrying so much more than I needed to. And in that respect, I feel like some of us feel like maybe the real us is buried somewhere. Like maybe we haven't come out to see, the world as ourselves. And also, I want to address something about time. Sometimes we put an age limit on things, right? Especially as women, we're like, well, I'm over 40, so dot, dot, dot. I'm over 50, dot, dot, dot. And in some cases, I'm over 60, dot, dot, dot. That time is not on your side. What I like to say that you can start and restart at any time in your life. So I say time is on your side, no matter what, no matter who you are. And sometimes you're going to be, kind of like feeling broken, especially with the world these days. We can feel shattered, we can feel broken, we can feel split into 20 different pieces. And sometimes it doesn't make sense until you start connecting the dots. And some of you out here, maybe you gave up on your dreams and hopes before you even started because you believe this about yourself, that you're not able to move forward into something because you don't deserve it, you're not worth it. But those of y'all that are giving up before you even started, I'd invite you to kind of like redirect your thoughts today about what is possible. And this is something that I know I've experienced. Sometimes you felt unseen. And this piece of art I made in a windowsill, it was super easy to put this together, but this 100% represents how some of us can feel completely unseen. It's like you're there, but you're not there. And you're definitely having an identity crisis, because that is what happens when you are listening to everybody else's voices about who they say you are versus who you really are. And so I had this period of my life where I felt completely invisible for years, for many years. Only in the last 4 or 5 have I really embraced who I am. And you're going to have moments, right? You're going to feel very, very alone. And part of becoming limitless is acknowledging where you are in this list of things that I've gone through so far. But also, I want you to understand that you are not alone in this journey. And if you've resonated with anything I've already listed off about the things of the world, or feeling unseen, having an identity crisis, not being able to find who you really are, you aren't alone in that. So when I say we're starting the journey together today, like this is something that we're going to be on a lifelong journey anyway. But as long as we're here, we might as well start today. Know that your path is your own. This is the biggest thing that I could share with you, is that not all pathways are the same, right? If you look at this photo right here, my lovely friend is on a dirt pathway, and it's a tiny one. You'll notice it's super tiny. But she's embracing it in this moment, in this piece of art. I'm showing you that she's embracing this journey. And I also know that it's different for everyone. And I also know that we need to ask the tough questions in our life. If we're at this period of our season of our life where we need to start or restart a journey, it's a good time to ask the tough questions. And some of it has to do with things you're holding on to, and some things you actually really need to let go of before you can go on this next journey. So you also need to think about, what are your real limits? Like we all have certain limitations. There's certain things that we should do versus we could do versus where we have strengths, we have weaknesses. But honestly, there's so many limits that we can address when becoming limitless. And I think in addressing your limits, that's when you become limitless. That's a weird concept, right? I've been living this. I understand that I'm limited in certain things, but that's the freedom, is that I know that I'm limited, but that makes me unlimited because I'm aware of my limitations. And that's where community and connection comes in, because, hey, that's what we're here for. And also, I want you to find freedom in the dream that you already have starting this journey, right? Starting the journey to becoming limitless. You're finding freedom in the dreams that are within you. So we're going to go over 3 magical keys, which I try to be a little whimsical sometimes in my talks. But here behind this veil, you see this lovely person who's kind of cloudy, kind of, there's things we're going to go over. We're going to go over vision. We're going to go over thinking big and bigger. And we're also going to go over creativity. And at any time in your journey, you can pull any of these out and start working on them and looking at them and asking questions. So with your vision, let's do a vision test today. You've got hopes, dreams, goals, you run a business, you caretake for people. There's a variety of different things that you're doing right now. I know some people are actually in school. I have a friend in this group right now that's like, she's been going to school and working really hard. But what's the vision test right now for you? Are you clear on where you're going, no matter what stage of life you're in right now? Like, do you have a clear vision? Or do you still, like much like me, I have glasses. If I take off my glasses, I have blurry vision. But in this art piece here, you can see that I use a magnifying glass. This is not photoshopped, by the way. I use a magnifying glass to enhance the vision of the person holding that. What do you really want? And that is something about your vision that you can bring to the forward front. What do you really want versus what everybody thinks you want, or the things that you've been told, or the things that you've told yourself that you want? I like to think about dreaming in pictures. You know how we do vision boards sometimes? Like every year, somebody will do a vision board, or every 6 months, you're coming up with a dream or a vision. There's something about being able to see it, even if it's in your own mind, and you close your eyes and you think about the things that you're just daydreaming about. We don't daydream enough. And in becoming limitless, you want to think about dreaming and vision and what is your seeing? What does your eyeballs tell you, right? What does your heart tell you? Because your heart is an eyeball as well. It kind of tells you things. And do you have the light to see? I wanted to kind of like highlight this for a second, because if you'll notice, if you go into a dark room, you can't see anything. If there is no light in that room, you're not going to be able to see anything about your life, anything that you need to deal with, anything that is holding you back, anything that is keeping you limited. So the thing you need to think about is, what kind of light are you carrying in that room? Are you carrying in a tiny, magnifying glass? Are you carrying in a lantern? You got a flashlight? There's several different things that you can do to illuminate the pieces of your life and the pieces of your heart on the inside that give you that vision, that where you can find yourself again, where you can find the things that have been hidden and buried. So when we're thinking big and bigger, right? Becoming limitless, I had made this art piece where a piece of my life had been like, had certain identity crisis, right? And my imagination told me that everything I would do creatively would make sense in the end, because it's weaved together between my hands. Between these hands here is a string that I'm walking. And I'm walking every time I would pick up a camera, every time I would pick up a paintbrush, every time I would use my voice. And I also have a podcast. Every time I, use my voice in that way. And all these different ways that we use creativity and dreams and hopes and all these things. This is the path that I was shown that I'm walking, is this really great up and down, keep going up, but the bow at the top lets me know I have tons of time. I can always undo the bow and keep going. There's no reason to not keep going. Take a right, take a left, keep going no matter what age you're at. And so what I feel like what happens is, when we're thinking bigger and big at the same time, fear keeps you small. So if you're working only in fear, then your visions and everything else that works together is always going to be really small. But in this case, I want you to think bigger. Think in a limitless pattern of your mind and your imagination about these visions and dreams that you have that you haven't done yet, and you've been sitting on them. So the next key I want to put in here is writing it down does make it real to a point. So if you have sketched an idea, I do this a lot as an artist. If I have an idea, I'll sketch something down. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to be on a piece of paper so you can stare at it. Or, however creative form that makes it work for you, that you can look at it and say, this is something I want. This is why I want it. And this is where I'm going with it. So define your big thing. Like maybe set yourself up some homework today, right? Define your big thing. What is this thing that you're going to be walking out? And you're also going to want to define success. If you do not define success for yourself, everybody else is going to define it for you. So many people get caught up in what success really is. And for me now, my biggest revelation is my biggest success is being exactly who I am. That's it. I don't need to there's certain things I don't need to have this accomplishment, this amount of money, this amount of friends. It's truly, am I myself? Am I who I am called to be? In my identity, who am I, right? That's defining success for me. The last thing we're going to talk about here is creativity, because we fear our weird and stupid ideas. And I was saying this recently, sometimes the stupid ideas are the magic. They are the things that you need to go do. These are the things that make you limitless, because we start out our lives so unlimited. If you've got young children, then you know how unlimited they are. They have unlimited ideas, and they are not afraid to share them. They're not afraid to go try them. But for some reason, there's a period of our life where we stop embracing these weird and strange ideas that come to us all the time. I'm here to tell you that those weird and strange ideas might be the thing that are your next big idea, the next big dream. And I like to say, you know how people, they don't do the thing because they don't want to do the thing, or they want to be a writer and they don't sit down and write, or they want to paint a painting and they don't go paint. The simplicity of it is, I'm a photographer, I go make images. A writer writes, a painter paints. We all can, and earlier, a musician makes music. It doesn't matter how it comes out, but you make music and you get creative in that process. But you're also going to want to repurpose your life experience and skills. If you're going into a new place in life, if you're starting a new path, or if you're starting a new idea or a hope or a dream and becoming limitless, why can't you use your life experience as a strength? Don't deny the life that you've already lived. Don't deny those years that you spent in the trenches doing things that were not necessarily your passion, but they prepared you for the now. I used to think about my data entry was not a big deal until I became a business owner, and I'm over here just typing away, right? There's certain things that we throw it in the trash because we think it's not, a viable skill. It's all skills. And I love to always encourage you, incorporate play into your life. Something that has nothing attached to it. It's not your identity. You don't need to please anybody. You don't need to perform for anybody. You just need to play. The creativity is such a gift that if you don't use it, you're kind of missing out on the wholeness of life, I feel like. So incorporate play into your life, and that can look different for everyone. For me, you see in this photo, this is just a self-portrait. I say self-portrait, my friend took this for me, in the middle of the tall trees over in California. And San Francisco, I believe, that the Bay Area over there. And we were just walking around taking photos. We were doing self-portraits. We were talking about the trees. We were walking. This is a certain amount of play that I feel like is so beneficial to us right now. And also try new things. If you're needing to walk into a path and walk into a hope or a dream and becoming limitless, trying new things genuinely takes you to a whole other world. Even if you fail at it, it's a beautiful thing to experience. So I want to talk to just quickly some additional tools that you can do as you're on this path, right? Whatever your path looks like, it's going to look different. Remember, you have different light sources. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your little lanterns, your flashlights, your stick matches, start shining the light in your dark places because we all have them. We're not all completely bright lights yet. Sometimes we've got Swiss cheese holes in us and we're trying to illuminate all the parts of our lives that need to be illuminated so we can be everything we're supposed to be. Get some pen to paper because you're going to want to write these ideas down. You're going to want to write everything down that you can. If you're a journaler, go ahead, do the thing. I'm only a sometimes journaler. I sometimes just write ideas down. You're also going to really hone in on what your definitions of success are. I think it's super important that you come from a place that it's not an outward place, it's more of an inward place of success, right? Define it for yourself. Get yourself some accountability, whether it is a good friend or a mentor or a coach. There's so many different ways to stay accountable. And then also, we can't shortcut this. A lot of people these days are going to look at shortcutting everything, but part of the process to becoming limitless is actually not shortcutting your process. Whatever your path looks like, sure, there are some times you want to take shortcuts, but honestly, you don't want to shortcut the experience. You want to have the fullness of the experience. Don't shortcut that because you're gonna miss out on a couple of things you might have need to learn. Go ahead and get your counseling. Counseling for any kind of deep wounds and trauma. Having a second person in your life that helps illuminate some things is so very helpful. So I'm just going to recommend that as well. Always have a support system if you can. Remember, we are not alone. So you need your community and you need the people around you who brings out the identity in you. And the more you get free, the more you see. And this is why I talk about vision a lot too, is because I understand what it's like to have cloudy vision and I understand how many layers you have to take off before you get to be the wholeness of yourself. So here's homework for you guys. 5 minutes, write and free form anything you want. See what comes out of you. Don't judge it. Don't hate on it. Get really intentional about things and see what words come up that resonate with you. Focus on it. Maybe in the next few weeks, you're going to sit down and think about something. And mind you, I love this image because this is a shipwreck, but she's running into it. She's not scared to run into it. The waves are coming up, things are moving, but she is not scared to go embrace the things that are all of her, all the broken pieces, all the shipwrecks of her life, all the things that get us out to sea where we can float on our boat, right? And so if you want to do a vision board, do a vision board. But I would say get some of these things going very quickly. That way you can see where you need to go to become limitless, right? Grab all the things that make you you and put it on a piece of paper and then ask more questions. Ask more questions about yourself. Ask more questions as to why this dream is your dream. Ask more questions about what it means to be limitless. So I do have this Q&A comment section, but really we don't need to do that today. But what I wanted to tell you and remind you is there are no stupid questions, especially if it's you and you sitting down for coffee, or it's you and the universe, you and God, you and anything that you need to sit down and have that conversation. Remember that your idea is important. Your voice is important. Do not forget to use your voice. That's what we're doing today. Many of us are using our voice today. Your identity isn't your job. I love that we want it to be, but it's really not. I'm a photographer, but that's not my identity. You understand? Like I'm a creative, but that's not my identity. Like I am a person, I'm a human, I'm a spiritual being. There's a lot of different things to me that's just not in my job. Your future is very bright and your niche is waiting on you and the fear will always be there, but do it anyways. And if you want to work with me, I am Pink Haired Jen, but I also have a freebie for you that I will post in the comments, but I also have this little thing. I want to remind you today that you are a gift to the world and that you are very important. And I'm so glad y'all could be here today to learn a little bit more on becoming limitless.
Thank you, Jen. That was fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing all that wisdom. And yeah, and I know there is some ladies who had posted in the chat about if there was going to be a replay today. And yes, absolutely there is. And I'm going to post the link as to where you can watch that afterwards. It's also the place where you can catch coffee chats. So another part of being a One Woman member is being able to host coffee chats through One Woman. And women love to get together and discuss powerful topics, whether that's business or life or anything that women want to gather and share about. And so those coffee chats go on all the time. They're completely free to attend. They happen weekly. So it's something that anyone can also participate in. It's our hosts that are our members that host the coffee chats, but anyone can participate. So I'm going to share the link in the comments that's where you can participate in coffee chats. It's where you can watch the replay of our Fearless Summit. It's where you can watch any of our past World Summits online, and also a lot of our workshops and past classes and things like that. That is where our Empowerment Academy is, that you can watch a lot of great things that we do through One Woman. So I'm going to turn things over to our next amazing speaker for today. So Marcia, if you want to turn on your sound and your camera. Marcia's motto is, we don't just train, we transform. Marcia has been in education for over 30 years as a teacher. For the last 22 years, she was a professor of literature at Wharton County Junior College until her retirement in 2023. Still young at heart and strong in her mind, she is charting a new course at this phase of life as a speaker and a coach. Marcia is the founder of the Women's Empowerment Society. Marcia's 2025 The Unstoppable Woman Trilogy is her latest 3-book series. And most days you can find Marcia enjoying time with her husband or sitting outside with a book in one hand and a coffee in the other, at a coffee house or at a bookstore. So please welcome our next amazing speaker for today, Marcia.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. So glad to be here. Wow, I was listening to myself on there. That sounds like a lot. And I love having a book and a coffee in hand. So let me share my screen here as we get ready, because I know we want to get to it. But I wanted to say I loved, I chimed in on Tusa was talking about fear and anxiety. Tara was talking about discovering hope. And Jen was wonderful also on becoming limitless. And so I love these awesome women, how they started off telling me about the kind of life that I want to create. And I talk about life, creating a life and a business that you love. So I love that these women came before me with such great presentations on life. And now I want to talk about the business, or whether you work for somebody. We all have a brand. And I was telling one of my clients this morning, I'm in Houston, so I'm on Central Time. I was telling one of my clients, even though you're not in business for yourself and she's working for someone, you still have a brand. So today I want to talk about simplify and scale, because I used to think the more, if I did more, I would make more. Where it's not like that. It's when I simplify, I started doing more. So today, let's talk about create storytelling content with AI. I really love teaching AI to grow your brand. So I like to start with like the ladies before me. They were all talking about the things within us, like our fear or our anxiety or discovering hope after loss or becoming limitless. Well, the thing about it is you actually have the power to reach your goals. You actually have the power to reach your goals. And I think Jen may have talked about mindset. And it's all about our mindset. All it takes is a decision. We don't need a lot of stuff. We don't need to be what other people say. We don't need to do people pleasing. I spent so much of my life people pleasing. It was so exhausting. And now I'm creating a life that I want and a business that I want. And I realize I actually have the power to reach my goals, and so do you. So when we talk about brands, the brand, we have a brand, whether you're working for someone, whether you're, an employee, whether you're a business owner, you're starting a business, it's on the side. We all have brands, and our brands stand out today, not by shouting the loudest, being on every side, or that's just, you don't need to be on every site anymore. It used to be. The brands that stand out are the ones that's telling the most powerful stories. And so people say, Marcia, how can I build my brand? Marcia, how can I get on social media and grow my business? Well, I was at a speaking event the other day, and I stood up and I said, posting and hoping is not a strategy. Okay, posting and hoping is not a strategy. Being online and AI helps us when we're crafting stories. It's never been an easier time to craft stories, okay? We can connect with people, we can inspire people, we can convert and turn people into clients. We connect, inspire, convert. So the question is, are you using them? Are you using these tools with your brand to truly resonate with your ideal client? It's no more being everywhere, being online, being on TikTok dancing. You don't have to do all of that. You just need to build a brand that resonates with your ideal audience. So if you're ready to build that brand, like Jen was saying, take notes, you can take screenshots. If you're ready to build that brand with the stories that create influence, impact, and income, ask yourself, are you ready for that? If you're shaking your head, yes, then we're going to dive into this. So I want you to grab that pen and paper and get rid of any distractions. If you have any distractions, like Miss Charlotte was saying, I'm a retired educator, been teaching at the college a long time. And I used to tell my students, get that pen, get that paper, but they wouldn't take notes. But that's another story. But if you stay to the end, I do have some freebies also. So let's dive into this today. So what are you going to learn today? We're going to talk about what is a brand. I'm going to go through it fast. What is storytelling? What your content pillar strategy, ways to simplify your marketing, because when we're doing a lot, I will tell you from experience, when I retired from the college and started doing my business full time, I realized doing a lot didn't mean making a lot. We're going to talk about how to use AI and how to make it sound like you. I still do training for educators, and they're so afraid that they're going to lose their voice. And how to repurpose your content with storytelling on your platforms. Okay. So, who am I? A little bit about me. And Charlotte talked a little bit about me. I am a brand and marketing strategist. I love it. I live in Houston. I'm an AI trainer and consultant. I got certified last year at Vanderbilt University for AI because I was like, I need to add AI to my training. And in April, I'm doing a whole lot of training, but I love to being a professor at the college, writing, speaking, training. And I was like, okay, it's time for me to move on. Like Jen, I was a wedding photographer straight out of college. I shot weddings for 20 years, Jen, but I'm done with being out every weekend, being out late at night. I do brand photography now, but I don't really do weddings anymore. And I'm really enjoying writing. And I have my trilogy, Unstoppable Woman, Women Who Rock the Stage is coming out next, and Crushing Barriers. So I'm creating a life and a business I love. And I love what Jen says, success looks different to everybody. And for me, success means creating a life I want, living life on my own terms. That's what success looks like to me. So, what brought you here to this training today? I know you've been on this awesome summit. It's been awesome. But what made you stay on this part today? Because we pay attention to what's important to us. So, if you're anything like me, if you're a coach or a speaker, you're an entrepreneur, you have products and services, I work with those people. It may be one of these reasons. So, you really want to know your audience. And I know my audience, mainly my audience is 45, 50 plus. And they're kind of like me. So you might say, I came to stay for this 20 minutes because I'm struggling with what to say online. Or you might say, I want to save time and work smarter with AI. You want to learn AI a little. You might want a simple content strategy for your social media. Maybe you're on LinkedIn. I hope you are. You might want to build authority and attract more clients. If you have a business or a side business, you might need to know, how do I engage more? Because posting and hoping is not a strategy. Okay. When people like and comment and they keep it scrolling, that doesn't bring you money to the bank. Okay. And so you might say, I'm tired of posting and nothing is happening. So if any of these things sound familiar, put it in the chat. Say, yes, Marsha, that's me. This is what I'm dealing with. Put it in the chat. So let's make sure we have the basics down before we move on. So I want to tell you what is branding, and you may already know this, but I want to make sure, what is branding, what is storytelling, and what is AI. Okay. Number one, branding is not about your logos and your colors anymore. I've been in this business a while. I've been teaching social media and branding for University of Houston since 2015, about 10 years, even while I was teaching as a professor. So I was doing my business on the side. Branding is how people see you. It's how they remember you. It's your business. It's your reputation. Jeff Bezos says your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So that's why I say whether you have a business or whether you work with someone, you have a brand. And it is how people remember you. It's not your logos and your colors. Those are important, but it's you. It's you and your reputation. So what is storytelling, Marsha? Storytelling is how you share your content online, whether it's on YouTube or whether you're on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. Don't be everywhere. You only need 2 sites to build a brand, actually. So it's how you show up authentically with your content, with showing your emotions, the lessons you've learned, the challenges, how other people see you as a real person and it makes them care versus a lot of stuffy businessy type of posts. Social media has changed. And so, Marsha, well, what is AI? And I know you know it's artificial intelligence, but it's a smart way it helps us to save time. It helps us to be more productive. It gives us ideas. And so when I tell people don't be afraid of AI, it's not your replacement. AI is your assistant. AI is your team member. AI is your generator. It's idea generator. AI doesn't need to replace you. But I told somebody I was speaking in Nashville, and somebody said, "Well, AI replaced me," and I stood up and I said, "AI won't replace you, but somebody who knows how to use it will." So you want to make it your friend. I have been a writing professor for a long time, and I can do all of this on my own. I've written books, all of that, and it took me months to do it. With AI, it takes me minutes. So AI is my friend. Okay, I'm not afraid of AI. So that's what you want to kind of get your mindset around that. The second thing, content pillars. So people say, "Well, Marsha, what do I post on social media?" And I tell people to get 3 to 5 content pillars that match your brand. Okay, they help you stay focused. It makes it easier for you to attract your audience. Okay, so why are these content pillars important? For instance, I'm a brand strategist, so one of my content pillars is on branding. One of my content pillars is on online marketing. One of my content pillars is on my life as an entrepreneur, and I talk about my challenges and I talk about my struggles because I have those also. Even though I'm a coach and a consultant, it makes people relate to me. That's why I stay busy with business, because of the content pillars. One of my content pillars is on inspiration and motivation. I love inspiring people. It's like Jen was talking about. Be you, enjoy you, get your success, follow your goals. We got this one life to live, right? So let that be you. Let it show. And that's how you're going to attract your ideal audience. Even if you work for somebody, people at the job will be like, "I love her." Your employees, your co-workers will love you as your brand. And so why are they important? Because they give your brand a clear message. These content pillars give your brand a clear message. They help you stay consistent instead of thinking, "What do I post on social media?" And it helps you to make sure that your content is easier, because now you have direction instead of just posting. I keep saying posting and hoping is not a strategy. Just getting up, posting. Your content pillars help you to stay consistent and gives you direction. So you got to think to yourself, "Well, Marsha, how do I come up with my content pillar?" You think about the 3 or 5 things about you, your client, what you like. Okay, those become your pillars. If you're a leadership coach, you might have leadership as one of your content pillars. Communication might be one of your content pillars. If you're a resiliency coach, resiliency might be one of your content pillars. Mindset might be one of your content pillars. Bouncing back, those are things that you want to think about when you think about your content pillars. Motivational, inspirational things may be your content pillar. And your content pillar should always include you as an entrepreneur. Share your struggles, share your challenges, share what you've overcome, because people do business with people. They don't do business with logos. They don't do business with colors. They do business with people. That's why I was doing a LinkedIn training for a company a month ago, and I was telling them LinkedIn has changed so much. I used to tell my students, go to LinkedIn, put your resume and look for a job. LinkedIn has changed a lot from that. It's not just a job place. LinkedIn is a place where you can show who you are and build your brand. Now, there are 3 simple steps to choosing your content pillars. Take your notes if you want. If you've left me, come back. 3 simple steps. Take a screenshot. What do you want to be known as? At one point, I was like all over the place. And when I was all over the place with all of these ideas, if you're like me and you're over 50 or 60, you got a lot of expertise, you got a lot of ideas, and they're everywhere. But you got to figure out, what do you want to be known for? Okay, when you choose your pills, I want to be known as a brand and marketing strategy. And people say, Marsha, I want you to help me because I'm known for that. I want to be known for helping people understand AI, make it simple, make it sound like them. What does your audience need help with? My audience needs help with being consistent. My audience needs help with what to post on social media. My audience needs help on how to do tech stuff, how to use Canva. My audience needs help on how to learn AI. I know my audience. So my content pillars matches what they need. So it's not really about me. You know, Charlotte told you all the stuff about me. I've done this, I've done that, I've been a professor. It's really, nobody really cares that much. It's not about me. People want to know, Marsha, how can you help me grow my business or create a life and a business I love? That's what it's about. It's not about me. And so my content pillars match what they need. What topics can you or do you want to consistently build your brand for? Don't do things that you just think, okay, this is what other people want. This is what I think is trendy. Do what you want to do. So if you're a fitness coach, your pillars might be nutrition, workout, motivation. If you're a branding expert, your pillars might be personal branding, AI for content creation, monetization. I teach people how to monetize their brand with digital. I gave a training yesterday, how to create a digital product in a weekend with AI and still sound like you. I taught them how to create a digital product in a weekend. Then I'm going to teach them how to create a mini course in 14 days. AI is wonderful. So take a moment. Here's your action step. I know Jen gave you some homework too. Take a moment and write down 3 to 5 content pillars that might reflect your expertise and your audience, what they need from you. And your content will be easier to create when you do that. So take a few minutes to think about maybe some content pillars. So how to simplify your content marketing. So Marsha, how do I make this simple? You say I don't have to be everywhere. I don't have to be on every site. I don't have to be online all day. Who has time for that? You have a life, you have a business, you have a family. Simplify. When I was trying to do everything all over the place, I wasn't growing. So this is how you simplify your content marketing. Pick 2 social media platforms and go all in on those 2. We're getting ready for Q2, April, May, and June. Pick 2 and go all in. Send 1 email a week because email is your friend, okay? Social media is for building authority and trust, but email is for selling. Social media is not really for selling, okay? People are like, Marsha, I'm posting on social media and I didn't any sell anything. I say that's the top of the funnel, okay? Social media is the top of the funnel. You need to lead them to your email list. That's where you can sell. Have a 3-day-a-week plan. You don't need to be online but 3 days. Two platforms, 3 days a week, 1 email. Bam, build your brand. And you don't need to, it's a myth that you need to be online every day. It's a myth that you need to be on every site. And it's really a myth that you need lots of followers to make money in your business. I am on a lot of sites, but I have an assistant. I have a team now. I don't work by myself, but my main sites are LinkedIn and YouTube. I don't have a whole lot of followers, but I have a whole lot of business. Okay, let's look at a simple system that you can use to scale your business. When you're consistent with your content, okay, you don't need more. You don't need more. You just need a system. Doing more doesn't mean making more. Okay. So ChatGPT, I got some demonstrations on here to show you storytelling process. So you're saying, Marsha, for storytelling, I can put it on LinkedIn. You're saying for storytelling, I can put it on Facebook, Instagram. You mean to tell me I can do email with storytelling, articles? Yes, 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 and yes. You can teach. You can educate. You can inspire. You can do all of that through storytelling. You don't have to do how to and this and that. You can do all of these with storytelling. Here's a sample post. You can take notes, take a picture of it, okay? Storytelling post. Let's say you did a post on the power of mindset shift. Let's say mindset is one of your pillars, okay? And then you do it from your point of view. 3 years ago, I struggled with imposter syndrome, and it goes, I felt like I wasn't qualified. And then so I started reframing my self doubt. This is a great post. This post can go on LinkedIn, it can go on Facebook, it can go on Instagram. It is sharing from your content pillar of your entrepreneur journey, and it's a storytelling post. Storytelling post number 2. Okay, so this one says, for so long I was stuck. I told myself I wasn't ready. That's for those of you who stay stuck a long time and you're waiting for the perfect moment. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need to wait for all the perfect equipment. You don't need to wait to have a lot of money. None of that. You don't need any of that. You just need to start. And so this post right here, this storytelling post, shares and teaches people you don't have to wait till everything's perfect. And I think Jen was talking about that. And so this is a great storytelling post to put in a Facebook group, to put on your LinkedIn, to put on your Facebook, to put on your Instagram. And then you put a call to action. What's one belief holding you back? Now people start engaging because you've added a call to action to your post. Storytelling post 3, the last post, storytelling post 3. At one point, I nearly gave up on my business. Share the truth. And if you've been in this thing a while, you feel like giving up sometimes, okay? Every time I went to post, self-doubt crept in. Are people gonna like me? Are people gonna like this post? Are people gonna like how I sound? Are people gonna like how I look? And so this is a great post that resonates with people. When our content resonates with people, they like, they follow, they become a subscriber, and eventually, if they had a problem that you solved, they want to work with you. Okay, so this is a post right here that people can resonate with. Call to action, hit reply and tell me what's your one belief. And so in your post, you put your call to action. So posting and hoping is not a strategy. Posting from content pillars, that's a strategy. Okay, so how do you scale your business with storytelling? Posting and hoping is not a strategy. It's 3 things you need to do when you are posting on your 2 sites. Remember, you don't need to be everywhere. You need to engage with people. You need to comment. I can hop on the sofa and comment 10 to 15 minutes a day. I can pick up this phone and comment on Instagram, comment on 2 3 people on LinkedIn. You got to engage and connect. You want to connect with 5 to 10 new people a week. Remember, I told you it's a 3-day-a-week plan. So you only need to connect with a few people 3 days each week and build that brand. So it's not just about posting. So if you're posting, that doesn't do anything. You have to engage and you have to comment and you have to connect. So your storytelling content should grab attention, create connection, call to action, teach or inspire. Okay, so you can take a picture of that. How does this content, Marsha? How does story content build my brand? How can I scale? When you build connections, you increase engagement. It makes your brand memorable. Okay, and you don't have to feel that salesy feeling. Okay, because you're helping with value. So I want to leave you with something to think about. Your story has the power to connect. It has the power to inspire. Okay. AI makes it easy. Now, if you keep doing the same old thing, you're just going to get the same results. All right. So, as I wrap up, I want to take a screenshot here because I was trying to go fast leaving my voice. But I want you to grab some free resources from my vault, and you can go to marshalynnhudson.com. You can build your brand with marsha.crd.co. I have a brand transformation guide. I have an AI playbook there for you. I have a content toolkit there for you, and they're all free. Okay, they're all free. So you can go there and grab them. And last thing, pull out that phone and scan. Pull out that phone and scan because I want you to stay connected. Be sure and follow me on YouTube. And don't forget, as I always like to say, the secret sauce to your success, it is not being on every site. It is not being overwhelmed. It is not driving yourself crazy. The secret sauce to your success is you. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great April, May, and June.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcia. My goodness, I want to bottle your energy and sell it and become a billionaire because, yeah, thank you so much. And you shared so much in that. And yeah, I think a lot of people get scared of things like AI, not realizing how much it can help us and to create things in our business and automate so many things. And so thank you for sharing and opening our eyes to all the possibilities of storytelling through AI. I think that's amazing. And that's the wonderful thing about, I've been sharing all the wonderful parts of being part of One Woman, and that is networking and connecting with amazing women who share their knowledge and gifts. We get together twice a month to be able to meet and connect and mastermind that I always share, my 30 years of being an entrepreneur, but there's so many other women that have so many different areas of expertise and wisdom that you can network and connect with and find the help and support you need in your business because, we don't know what we don't know. And so when we learn things like we did today, sometimes it's a big game changer in our business. So yeah, I wanted to mention that as well. So I'm going to turn things over to our next amazing speaker for today, which is Jocelyn. So after 8 years of supervising, Jocelyn thought she understood leadership. Then she discovered horses and learned that her leadership style alternated between bribery and bullying. As prey animals, horses rely on their leader for safety. They sense the energy we bring into each interaction. Revealing ties and incongruence, horses test boundaries, walking on doormats and avoiding bullies. When she could guide a horse at liberty in a 60-foot round pen with the wave of her arm, she grasped the essence of leadership, becoming a leader that others choose to follow out of trust and mutual respect, worthy of being followed. Please welcome our next amazing speaker for today, Jocelyn.
I'm so glad to be here, Charla. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we sure can.
Excellent. What comes to mind when you think of a cowgirl? Wide open spaces, a horse beneath her, wind in her hair, and an unshakable sense of confidence? Now, what if I told you that becoming cowgirl confident has less to do with riding horses than with the way you show up in life, at work, in relationships, and within yourself? Cowgirl confidence is a balance of tenderness and toughness rooted in truth and delivered with tact, and it's available to anyone, anywhere, even if you never touch a horse or buy the boots. Whether you're navigating the wild terrain of a boardroom, a startup, or the chaos of everyday life, the principles of cowgirl confidence apply just as powerfully. Our previous speakers are clearly embodying it. Today, I'll share 3 transformational life lessons I learned from horses. We'll discuss how to lead with competence, confidence, and awareness. We'll discover ways to build the courage to show up brilliantly and imperfectly. And we'll learn the importance of building strong relationships and deep connections. These lessons will help you cultivate that unshakable confidence, whether you're leading a team, speaking up in meetings, or standing firm in your values. I invite you along on my journey from people-pleasing city slicker to cowgirl confident. I grew up in the city, laser focused on climbing the corporate ladder. I worked full-time as an accountant for an energy company in downtown Calgary while pursuing a professional accounting designation nights and weekends. At 22, I was promoted to accounts payable supervisor with a staff of 5. Horses, they were the farthest thing from my mind. Then I married a coworker who was equally career-driven. We often visited his parents' cattle ranch where the family had been riding horses for years. I admired the horses from behind the safety of the fence, mesmerized by their power and grace, yet they terrified me. I was as fascinated as I was fearful, worried they'd kick, bite, or step on me if I got too close. The horses on the ranch were seasoned ranch horses, unsuitable for a novice like me. But one day, my father-in-law brought a horse home just for me. Trigger was a breathtaking mahogany with jet black mane and tail. I fell in love at first sight. I can learn to ride. Little did I know, horses were about to become my greatest teachers. I poured my heart into becoming a horsewoman, but it didn't come naturally. By this time, I'd been supervising staff for 8 years and believed my promotions were a testament to my leadership skills, but the truth was, my technical accounting expertise is what had earned me those raises. Back in the 80s, there were few female supervisors in accounting, and I mirrored the leadership style I'd seen alternating between bribery and bullying. It worked in the office, where I had positional power. But the horses don't care about titles. They respond to energy and authenticity. They happily accepted my bribes of carrots and apples, but refused to follow my lead. I'd never been a parent. I'd never owned a pet beyond a cat. And I was now wading into uncharted waters. You can't let them win, some of the more aggressive riders advised me, so I tried pushing the horses around. They responded by avoiding me altogether. At work, I'd relied on fake it till you make it, a strategy that worked in the boardroom but failed miserably in the corral. I was a smart, capable accountant, but my confidence was often false bravado. As a young woman in management, I was frequently spoken over and dismissed. I told myself it's not that big a deal. But my body, it knew better. Tight throat, shallow breathing, sleepless nights. Horses, however, are masters of herd dynamics. They sense when your words and actions are not in alignment, and they respond to the truth behind the mask. They test boundaries, avoid bullies, walk all over doormats. My lack of confidence and conviction didn't inspire trust or cooperation. They mirrored my uncertainty, doing what they felt necessary to keep themselves safe because they didn't trust me to do that for them. The turning point came when I realized I couldn't fool the horses. Their unfiltered feedback pushed me towards self-awareness and authenticity. 2 of my horses, Colorado and Ricky, demonstrated leadership in a way I'd never imagined. Colorado was the eldest, a bit of a bully. When I threw hay for the herd, he used teeth and hooves, claimed the best pile, and the others kept their distance. Ricky, on the other hand, had a middle position in the herd hierarchy. He was friendly, calm, and respectful. When Ricky had an itch, another horse was always willing to indulge in a mutual back-scratching session. Ricky never grazed alone. When he went for a drink, the others followed. Someone always stood over him when he napped. When I walked out with a halter, the horse's reaction spoke volumes. If I caught Colorado, the others were relieved, glad to be rid of him for a while. But if I brought Ricky in, they followed him like the Pied Piper. Colorado may have ruled the roost, but Ricky was the chosen leader. They trusted and respected him, not out of fear, but because they felt safe around him. Through Ricky's example, I discovered the true essence of leadership is safety for self and others, becoming someone others choose to follow, not through force or fear, but through trust and mutual respect. When I embraced authenticity and spoke from a place of self-awareness and confidence, I stepped into my personal power. The horses responded, and slowly but surely, so did the people in my life. I learned that when I was centered and grounded, the horses responded favorably. Their consistent feedback helped me align my actions with my emotions, creating the congruence and alignment that inspired trust. Over time, the transformation extended beyond the corral, changing the way I showed up in leadership, relationships, and life. After years of trial and errors, I'd learned a profound truth. True leadership is not about dominance. It's about creating safety, trust, and connection. Colorado showed me what leadership looks like when fueled by fear and control. Ricky taught me that real leaders inspire loyalty, through authenticity and mutual respect. Wouldn't we all love more leaders like Reiki? My next big life lesson was around perfectionism and self-judgment. After 7 years of showing horses, I'd amassed a mountain of ribbons, many of them second place, but I had yet to take home the top prize. Colorado was the first horse born and raised on my farm, and we're nearing the end of our second show season together. Our performances were hit and miss. Colorado was a natural athlete, a rock star when energy and forward movement were required. His circles were perfectly round, with each set of tracks directly on top of the last. His figure eights, 2 perfect circles, just as they should be. He really shone, though, when we rode the serpentine pattern. He bent like a snake in both directions, fluidly, easily. His speed never wavered. It felt like a magic carpet ride. We were competing with 3 other horses, all riding along the rail, performing the maneuvers as announced. Colorado was really strutting his stuff. Riders, please stop your horses, back 5 steps and stand quietly. This was our Achilles heel. The stop was flawless. Boom! His feet planted. I held my breath, leaned forward. I picked up the reins. Please stand, please stand, please stand. He did. We were on the opposite side of the arena, far away from the judge, but maybe, just maybe, he'd noticed that moment of brilliance. Please walk on a loose rein. For once, Colorado settled without me having to pull on the bit to slow him down. The reins swung as he strode forward, calm, confident, and relaxed. Please reverse directions. As instructed, we repeated the pattern in the opposite direction, circles, figure eights, serpentines. I could hardly believe how well we were doing. Riders, please stop your horses, back 5 steps and stand quietly. Again, Colorado nailed the stop. I leaned forward, picked up the reins. He leaned into the bit, refusing to move. I knew that if I pushed him, he was more likely to rear up than back up. So I reluctantly gave up on those last 2 steps. And then he began to fidget, nervously chewing on the bit. Directly in front of the judge. I was crushed, so close, but under the pressure of competition, we hadn't held it together right to the end. It was over and we lined up for the results. Only the top 2 places, reserve champion, then champion, would be announced, and I prepared to accept second place yet again. But another horse was named as reserve champion. Oh well, there's always next year. And then Canadian national champion RJT Colorado Real. What? Yes! Finally, let the celebration begin. Later, I had the chance to speak with the judge, the Honorable Jose Rizo Montes Jr., affectionately known as Don Pepe. From Lima, Peru, he was tall, incredibly handsome, with impeccable manners and an irresistible Spanish accent. You were surprised when I chose your horse. Why? We made that mistake right in front of you. I was sure you could count to 5. Ah, yes, indeed I can. Who would you have picked? I named the horse that had been reserve champion. Ah, yes, but there are 2 ways to choose a champion. In North America, most select the horse that makes the fewest errors. I choose the one with the most moments of brilliance. I knew Colorado was poetry in motion, but struggled sometimes with stillness. And in truth, so do I. That short conversation, though, transformed my life. Pre-Pepe, I'd get stuck in the moment I failed my quest for perfection, multiplying the mistakes and judging myself on the accumulation of errors. But after that discussion, I quit worrying about my Achilles heel. I learned to search out and celebrate the moments of brilliance, those times when everything aligns in unexpected perfection. Second life lesson, Judge yourself, not on an absence of errors, but on moments of brilliance. The final lesson I want to share today has less to do with horses and comes from the weakest moments in my life. For much of my life, my theme song would have been, "Sisters are doing it for themselves." My apologies to Emily. In 2001, after 13 years of marriage, the irreconcilable differences between my husband and I became obvious. His parents and I loved the country, but he longed for the city lights, and we agreed it was best to release him from the torture country living had become for him. By 2014, I thought I had the world by the tail. I'd built a thriving horse farm from raw land, hosted a horse trainer from Peru each summer, and financed my passion with a 4-day-per-week role as finance manager at a natural gas processing facility just 10 minutes from the ranch. My horses were competing successfully, and I was building a side business, partnering with them to help people overcome the unfinished business that held them back, personally and professionally. Then everything changed. My chiropractor noticed a marble-sized lump on my neck. He urged me to get it checked. Within days, my family doctor referred me to an endocrinologist, and 3 days after that, I was back in her office, hearing the results indicate squamous cell carcinoma, but I don't see any lesions on your skin. The next consultation was with an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. 2 weeks later, I arrived for that appointment, believing we were still looking for a diagnosis. On check-in, I was given pages of paperwork to complete. The final page was a consent form to participate in a head and neck cancer study. My head was spinning. My ears roared as they ushered me into the exam room. The head and neck cancer posters lining the walls began to close in on me. I considered escaping, but before I could, the door opened and the surgeon walked in. Without further preamble, he said the 2 words no one wants to hear. It's cancer. The lump had metastasized from a primary tumor, probably in my tonsils or tongue base, and the whirlwind began. Minor exploratory surgeries, 7 weeks of concurrent daily radiation from my cheekbones to the collarbones, and weekly chemotherapy. I needed a feeding tube for 2 months, a liquid diet for almost a year. I wasn't able to work or care for my animals. I needed help, and lots of it. I had grown up believing that asking for help was weakness and vulnerability pushed people away. I was terrified that if I asked my friends and family for support, they would run, and they did, but they ran to me, not away. When treatment began in late September, it was brutal, but I was never alone. Every single day, someone showed up, picking me up, spending the day with me, and driving me home. In early November, when my weight began to plummet and I could no longer swallow, they stood by me as the feeding tube kept me alive. On November 13th, 2014, I rang the bell at Tom Baker Cancer Center to signify completion of treatment. Recovery was slow. I lost 45 pounds and had to rest after climbing the 14 stairs from the walkout basement to visit my horses. Eventually, I was too weak to go out at all, but I watched them from the window. Just the sight of them brought me peace. It was a devastating journey, but it taught me one of life's most profound lessons. I didn't have to be so fiercely independent. My toxic self-sufficiency had built walls between me and my family. My aversion to vulnerability had kept people at arm's length. It turns out that accepting help is a gift. Most people want to be of service to those they care about. Asking for help doesn't weaken our relationships, it strengthens them. That realization transformed my life. Cancer gives few gifts, but this one, the gift of connection and the courage to accept help, is one I will treasure forever. Phew, we've taken quite the journey today. I've shared the lessons that have changed my life. As we leave here, I invite you to carry these lessons with you. The true essence of leadership is becoming someone that others choose to follow, not out of fear or force, but through trust, mutual respect, and safety for all. A leader like Ricky. The second, choose your champions, not by the absence of errors, but by the moments of brilliance. And finally, Deep connection and the courage to accept help is a gift to those who love you. Embrace these lessons, and you will embody cowgirl confidence, even if you never touch a horse or buy the boots.
Wow, Jocelyn. Way to powerful, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your fearless story. Just amazing. So thank you so much. And feel free to drop your information in the chat, Jocelyn, as to how ladies can get a hold of you and touch base. And if anybody has any questions for Jocelyn or any of the amazing speakers that you've heard today, feel free to throw those in the chat. They're definitely, keeping an eye on that today to be able to answer all of your questions.
Thanks so much, Charla.
Thank you. So I'm going to introduce our final speaker for today. The last thing that I wanted to mention for in terms of the membership and joining One Woman is the ability to teach through One Woman. So as you've learned today, that these women aren't just powerful speakers sharing their fearless story, they also are powerful teachers. I think we've learned so many lessons today, and that's why we created our Empowerment Academy as well, where women can teach and instruct on all kinds of powerful topics and things that help us in business and in life. So that's also done through our Empowerment Academy and our school link that I had shared. It's also where you're going to be able to watch the recording from today's session. But it's a great way to be able to watch amazing workshops and webinars as well. And of course, those are all taught by our empowered members. So another reason to join, that if you have things that you want to teach and share and help others with, that you're able to do that through One Woman. So I want to introduce our final speaker without further ado, which is Dr. Anna Thomas. She's a physician, caregiving advocate, and leadership speaker dedicated to empowering women, balancing caregiving and professional careers. As the founder of Life Care Leadership and author of Dementia Care Confidence, she combines over 10 years of medical expertise and personal caregiving experience to deliver impactful strategies for thriving in life, work, and caregiving. Dr. Thomas also partners with organizations to support employed caregivers, offering tailored workshops and programs that create cultures of care and resilience. Please welcome our final speaker for today, Dr. Anna Thomas.
Hello, thank you. Can everyone hear me? Can you put a yes in the chat if you can see me and my slides and hear me? Awesome. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to start with a question. Did you know that 53 million Americans have a second secret job? A job with no paycheck, no benefits, and no breaks. That second secret job, it's called caregiving. Caregiving is the hidden workforce. Millions of people doing unpaid labor that keeps families, workplaces, and entire communities running. And yet, we rarely talk about this, but we have to start talking about it. Caregiving is no longer just a personal, private issue. It's a workforce issue. It's an economic issue. It's a human issue that impacts all of us. To thrive, we must recognize caregiving for what it is. It's a shared challenge. It demands collective action. And if we want to thrive, we need to start caring about caregiving and, most importantly, about caregivers. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. How we can prepare, how we can lead and thrive in the coming age of caregiving. So let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Dr. Anna Thomas. I'm a physician, coach, speaker, and author. I'm the founder of Life Care Leadership, and I'm the author of Dementia Care Confidence: 3 Steps to Transform Family Caregiving with Confident Care Leadership. As I mentioned, I'm a physician. Specifically, I'm a palliative care physician, and I've spent my career guiding families through difficult medical decisions, supporting them as they care for a loved one at the end of life. And I understand caregiving on a professional level, but nothing prepared me for what happened to me and my family in early 2020. So 2020, the year had started out pretty good. We had moved, new home, new job, new daycare. Everything was new and exciting in the beginning of 2020. And then, well, as we all know, what happened? The world shut down, right? One day I'm at work. I'm fully suited up, gown, gloves. I'm reaching over to examine my patient when my phone, it starts buzzing in my pocket.
over and over and over again. When I finally get a chance to pull it out and look at my phone, I see multiple missed calls from my dad and from my brother, and my heart drops because I see an urgent text that says, "Call me now." My mom was sick. She was in the hospital. We didn't know what was going on. And at that moment, I was no longer the doctor. I was a daughter. I was a caregiver, and I felt helpless. Over the next few weeks and months, just trying to juggle everything, working full time, caring for my daughter, who was a toddler at that time, and trying to navigate the mess of all my mom's home care needs, the hospital stays, the doctors, the equipment, all of it at the same time. It was one of the most overwhelming periods of time in my life. But my story, it isn't very unique. It's the reality of millions of working women every single day. How many of you here have ever felt the strain of balancing work and life and caregiving? Put a 1 in the chat if you ever had to do this. I'm seeing some ones. We are not alone. Millions of working women are dealing with this every single day. Today, more than 53 million Americans are caregivers, and 60% of them are women. Actually, more than 60% of them are women. And the bulk of them, they're under the age of 65. They're working full time. Every day you're going home to a double or a triple shift. You're caring for an aging parent or an ailing spouse or a child with disabilities. You know, caregiving, yes, it's an act of love, but it comes with a lot of challenges. Research shows that caregivers have nearly double the rate of chronic health conditions. Over a third are providing intense care while struggling with poor health themselves. Many have to cut back their hours, go to part-time, or even quit their jobs entirely due to their caregiving needs. And unfortunately, this is just the beginning. You see, we are standing on the edge of a major shift in US history. Last year, 2024, we witnessed the largest wave of retirements in US history, with 76 million baby boomers entering into retirement. This is what is known as the silver tsunami, this wave of retirements. But behind the silver tsunami is what I call the aftershock, the age of caregiving. Because over the next 25 years, as the baby boomer generation ages, their care needs will start to increase because their health needs will start to change. They're going to start needing more and more care. And the healthcare industry, I can tell you firsthand as a physician, it is not prepared. It's not prepared as it is. It's definitely not going to be prepared 25 years from now. So there will be even more put on the shoulders of caregivers like you and me. Let me give you one example. Right now, there's an estimated 7 million older adults in the US living with Alzheimer's dementia. By 2050, in just 25 years, that number is expected to double, reaching 13, 14 million. This is not just a US issue, it's a worldwide issue. Worldwide right now, 55 million. And the number is expected to double every 20 years, 130 million by 2050. This is just dementia. There's heart disease, stroke, lung disease, cancer, all illnesses that increase in frequency as we get older. And every one of these individuals will need someone to care for them. Who's going to provide that care? According to the US Census data, by 2025, so this year, there will be more seniors than there are women of caregiving age to care for them. So where that line, the dotted line, intersects with the solid line on that graph is this year. And this is not counting 1.2 million people who are 65 plus and don't have living children or don't have siblings or don't have a spouse. And if you think this doesn't impact you, I want to remind you those words from former First Lady Rosalynn Carter. She said it best. She said there are only 4 types of people in this world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. In fact, you may be in more than one group. For many of you here, I know that you're already living this truth. And if you're anything like me, when the first time you became a caregiver, whether it was from afar, from remote, or hands-on in the thick of it, you probably dove in head first, trying to do everything, trying to be everything, trying to do everything that you possibly can. And before long, it felt like you were sinking. And you were looking around for someone, anyone, to just save you from this overwhelming situation. Does anybody here know what I'm talking about? Put a me in the chat if this is you, if you've ever felt overwhelmed or unsure, even alone in this journey. Over the past 5 years, I've learned that there is no hero coming to your rescue. The true hero, though, comes from inside. And I've learned this not only from my own family experiences, but even more so from the families that I've cared for as a palliative care physician. The resilience, the strength, the commitment that I've seen has shown me that caregiving isn't just about taking care of someone. Caregiving is leadership, leadership that has the power to change lives. Caregiving challenges us, yes, but it also strengthens us. When we stop seeing ourselves just as caregivers, people that give and give and give and give, but instead, when we embrace our power as care leaders, we can transform not only our own lives and the lives of the person that we care for, but the world around us. We don't have to burn out. We don't have to sacrifice our health, our careers. We can lead with strength and with purpose and with confidence. And through my company, Life Care Leadership, I have the privilege of helping working professional women just like you who are trying to balance life and work and care. And I do this by teaching my Confident Care Leader Framework, which is a 3-step process. Step 1, lead yourself well. Step 2, lead the care partnership. And step 3, lead the care team. And the time that we have together today, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of these 3 steps. Sound good? At the very end, I'm going to tell you a little bit about a free workshop that I'm giving for caregivers, specifically caregivers of loved ones living with dementia, that you can join or you can share with a friend. And when you come, you're also going to get a free copy of my book, Dementia Care Confidence. I'll save that for the end. So let's get into this. Step 1 is to lead yourself well. Self-leadership, it's necessary to be a confident care leader. You can't lead anyone else unless you first lead yourself well. Now, I already told you what happened to me in the beginning of 2020, right? 2020 ended up being, aside from the pandemic, it ended up also being a year of personal chaos. Between new job, COVID, dealing with family illness, caregiving, I spent most of spring of 2020 just running from one fire to the next. I put together this plan trying to manage it all, hoping that I had everything together. And by the end of summer, I thought I did. I thought I had everything under control. And so I did what I do best. I put my energy back into work. But the truth was, I was barely holding it together. Now, one stormy day in August, same year, 2020, everything changed for me. I was late to a meeting. I felt like I was always late or behind in some way. I was late that day because of the storm, because of the rain. And as I'm pulling into the parking lot, over the sound of the wind and the rain and the storm, I heard something. Sirens. I looked up from my car and I see this wave of fire trucks coming down the road and then turning. And they're turning down a road, a small road next to the hospital. There's only one building at the end of that road. Just one, very small, very important little building. The daycare, where my 3-year-old daughter, Sarah, was that day. In that moment, I forgot about everything. I forgot about the meeting, the to-do list, all these things that I had to do. I just followed them. And when I arrived, I was staring at every parent's worst nightmare. A tornado, hidden in the storm, had torn through my daughter's daycare. The roof was damaged, cars were overturned, trees were overturned. I thought for sure she was dead. But later, as I held her in my arms, I learned how they survived. And it wasn't luck. See, it wasn't luck. They had a plan. They had a plan that they put in place long before they even knew a storm was coming. As soon as they heard that warning to shelter in place, the teachers followed that emergency protocol. And because of that, 135 children from newborn to 5 years of age, including my daughter, all made it out alive. At that point in time in my life, between work and parenting and caregiving, I was running from one thing to the next. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a system. But when you're just reacting, you're not preparing, you're just surviving. In that moment, I witnessed the power of preparation and planning and systems. And because of that, my daughter made it through the storm. Because storms come in all of our lives, real storms. We can't rely on luck. The most important things in our lives can't rely on luck. We need systems, we need routines to support us. And we as leaders in our families, as caregivers, people who are depending on us, we must know how to stay strong in the storm, how to lead through the storm. And that starts with leading ourselves well, preparing ourselves, taking care of ourselves. The confidence to face life storms, it doesn't just come from hoping that you'll be ready. It comes from knowing that you are. And in order to be the type of leader that your loved ones need, that can depend on, in order to find the balance that we're looking for in our work, in our life, in our care, we need to start with leading ourselves well. So that's step one, lead yourself well. Step two is to lead the care partnership. Now, leading the care partnership, it isn't about doing everything for your loved one. It's about understanding their needs, focusing your energy to what matters most. This includes understanding their diagnosis, their abilities, what to expect as things start to change down the road. Because when you understand the situation, then you can prioritize your time and your energy as a leader. So in my book and my course and my coaching, I work with working women who are caregivers of loved ones living with dementia. And I teach how the brain works and how the brain changes over time. And I'm not going to teach you about dementia today. We don't have time for that. But I want to teach you very quickly about one part of the brain. It's called the prefrontal cortex, right here. So if you take your hand, I can't see you guys, but I'm going to imagine that you're doing it where you are. Take your hand, put on your forehead, right here, okay? Behind the skin, behind your skull, right there. That's where your prefrontal cortex is. For this model of the brain, it's right here in the front, okay? The prefrontal cortex, it's known as the executive command center. It's the leadership part of your brain. It's the part of your brain that's responsible for decision-making, planning, follow through, and for people living with dementia, it's a part of the brain that over time becomes affected. This is the part of the brain that we use, all of us. It helps us lead the care partnership because we may need it to understand what's going on, to assess the situation, to help with decisions, to plan for future changes. But it's also a part of the brain that is highly sensitive to stress. When stress overwhelms us, the executive command center, the leadership part of our brain, it shuts down, goes on vacation. It's not there. It's not working. But the parts that are responsible for fight and flight, those reactive parts, they take over. And so as you can see, this is why step one comes first. You need to learn how to lead yourself well, manage your stress, allow your brain to function optimally. Because when your mind is clear, then you can focus on what truly needs to be done. So you can work smarter, not harder, right? So step two, lead the care partnership by understanding the priorities and focusing your energy and your time to what matters most. And now this comes to step three, build the team, lead the care team. This step is often the hardest for us as women. You know, we're so used to being the ones who do everything, right? We're the caregiver, the organizer, the problem solver, the one who steps in and does everything. Let me share with you a quick story from my childhood. So my brother and I, my brother's about a year and a half older than me. And when we were in elementary school, we would walk to the bus stop together. And he would always have his hands in his pockets. He'd be carefree, he'd stroll along, not a worry in the world. Whereas I, even in kindergarten, I was a kid who was always super anxious. Are we going to get to the bus stop on time? I couldn't even tell time, but I was worried if we were going to be late. Is the bus coming late? Are we going to be late? Are the other kids going to be late? That was me in kindergarten. All right. So one morning we are getting to the bus stop and he gets there first and he realizes that he has forgotten his backpack. So he turns around and he is ready to run back home when he sees me. And I'm carrying my backpack and his backpack. Now at that time, it didn't seem like much. I saw it, it needed to be done. I picked it up, no problem, right? It had to be done, so I just did it. But over time, I realize now that I picked up more and more responsibilities, more and more backpacks, telling myself, it'd just be easier if I do it. I can take care of this. I got this. But the truth is, all of these backpacks, it's not sustainable. And what I had to learn to accept was that things would be easier if I had people to help me, and especially if I let them help me. You don't have to carry all the backpacks. You can put some of them down. Let others help you carry them. So step three, build your team, lead your team by trusting them, delegating, empowering them to do their part. So these 3 steps are the foundation of the Confident Care Leader Framework. Step 1, lead yourself well. Step 2, lead the care partnership. And step 3, lead the care team. And if you're a caregiver of a loved one living with dementia, when you join me for the free Dementia Care Confidence Workshop, which I'm hosting on Saturdays at noon for the month of April, Eastern Time, we're going to go deeper into these 3 steps. We're going to learn about what it means to lead yourself well. We're going to learn more about the brain behind dementia. And we're going to review all the different services that are available in the community. This is US based. You know, what's covered by Medicare, what's covered by Medicaid, how much things cost, how many hours of help do I need? We're going to go over all of that in this workshop. And all of that's going to be about 60 to 90 minutes. So when you join me in this workshop, you're going to take the first steps towards being a confident care leader that you need to be for your family and for yourself. Again, these workshops are going to be at noon on Saturdays, Eastern Time for the month of April. If you're watching the replay and it's no longer April, use the same link. I'm going to make sure that that link attaches to future workshop times, even if the date and time is a little bit different. Use the link and it'll take you to the page that will explain where the workshops are going to be. So as we wrap up, I know that many of you here today, you're in the middle of it. You're navigating challenges, you're balancing responsibilities, you are giving your all, and it's exhausting and it's overwhelming. I want you to know that I see you. And please remember this truth. You are more than just a caregiver. You are a leader. And I want you to pause for a moment, really feel this. The strength that you've been searching for, the courage that you've been waiting for, it's been inside you all along. Every decision that you make, every moment of care that you give, it shapes the lives of those around you. And these skills that you use every day, the compassion, the resilience, the problem solving, these aren't just qualities of a caregiver, they're the qualities of a care leader. So as you go about your day today and take home all the different messages and the inspiring talks that you heard, remember this: no matter if you were a caregiver in the past, if you're a caregiver currently, or will be a caregiver someday, you are more, you are so much more, you are a leader. Always, always remember that. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. That was beautiful and amazing and so powerful. And I think we can all relate to that message for sure, in terms of, you know, caregiving to those that we love, or maybe the fact that we've been the person accepting care. And that was certainly my my story over the last few years, going through stage 4 cancer. So I can appreciate everything that you talked about today. And I certainly appreciate everything that all of our powerful speakers shared today. Their amazing and powerful, fearless stories, the beautiful and impactful work that they're doing globally to help others. I just loved everything that everyone had to share today. So as I mentioned, you know, today, that I talked about all the wonderful things that we do through One Woman to help empower women globally. And of course, we work with so many entrepreneurs that have fearless stories. And as I mentioned, heart-centered businesses that they want to make a difference in the world and to make an impact and help others. And you heard about all the great work that all these amazing women are doing. And we do our best to try to help and support women to do that, whether that's sharing your fearless story or teaching through our Empowerment Academy, or being supported and encouraged by thousands of women globally, being able to network and connect and promote what you do through our powerful network. But the one thing that I left out that we are launching today is our new business grants, because that's another thing that I know that women struggle with, that maybe there's a heart-centered business in you, or maybe you've started one, but you are struggling to be able to do that. And that's a new thing that we've added to what we're doing now, is our grant program to be able to help women with some funds. You know, it's not massive amounts of money. This is more micro grants, but often it's a game changer for women to be able to start their business, or to be able to take their business to the next level. You know, I tell women that I started my first business almost 30 years ago with $500. That was a loan that I had taken to start my first business. And oh boy, look at me now, you know, 30 years later. And sometimes we just need a little help and support to be able to do that. So yeah, I'll be sharing all that information in our next newsletter and through One Woman and through our community as to how you can apply for these and just get involved with One Woman in some way, shape, or form. Maybe that's sharing your fearless story at our next World Summit online or at, one of our many Fearless Summits that are happening right around the world. The full list is on our website. So for me, being fearless has been learning to listen to that still, small voice that lives in each of us. Not just listening to it, but paying attention to it. And most of all, acting upon it. And oh boy, isn't that the tough part, taking the actions. Because I think that we as women often hear that calling on our lives, that divine passion and purpose to make the impact that we want to make in the world. And I hope today inspired you to take the first step or the next right step in your own fearless journey to do that. You've heard so many inspiring stories today of women who've decided to live fearlessly and how different that looks for each of them. We all have our own divine fearless path. And as the great Martin Luther King Jr. once said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the entire staircase. Just take the first step. So what is that for you? Maybe it's connecting to one of the speakers that you heard today that you really resonated with, or learning more about one woman and how you can get involved, or maybe doing that one little step towards living the life of your dreams. Because sitting here as a stage 4 cancer survivor and going through an experience of actually clinically dying of a pulmonary embolism causing cardiac arrest and actually being dead for over 2 minutes, is that life is short, but life is extraordinary, and we can live a fearless and extraordinary life. There's so much in you that the world needs. You listen to inspiring speakers and healers and creators and, extraordinary women who are using their divine gifts to make this world a better place. As I always say, that one woman can change the world, and that woman, well, she's you. So do not be the world's best kept secret. Go out there and live fearlessly, whatever that looks like for you. So I want to thank again all of our amazing speakers today for sharing their powerful and fearless stories, for being fearless in the pursuit of what sets their soul on fire. And we hope that it has inspired you to also do the same. Feel free to reach out to any of us, learn more about the things that's going on with one woman or what these extraordinary, amazing women are doing right around the world. And we look forward to seeing you again. We have our next World Summit coming up in May. And of course, like I said, check our schedule on our website to find out about all the live events that's going on and meet some of these amazing women also in person. So I want to wish everybody a fabulous day and a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.